This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Oakland Athletics.
And the pitch is swung on, hit the right field, hit deep. Whitefield going back at the track, over his head, and over the wall. Do you believe that?
And 29 other MLB clubs.
Ramirez with a drive to deep right, away back, goal!
Go Hayes! Hits a bomb out there by the Rocks. And boy, oh boy, this third inning is now showtime.
It is a Judgian blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to spin rates to game-changing moments. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us next from the town, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
We are back. Turn me up a little bit in my headphones. Hello, everybody. Welcome to A's Cast Live. It's the postseason edition. As we've been trying to tell you, and we will continue to tell you, we don't go away. We just get stronger as we get into the offseason. Even though we're not in the offseason, it's the postseason. But for the Oakland Athletics, obviously, it is the postseason. We will be here all offseason for you. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday here on A's Cast. So if you're listening, thank you. If you're watching, thank you. Now, on the audio side, athletics.com/A'sCast, we will be every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 1 to 4. And if you miss it, then we replay it from 4 to 7. Do we replay it on Tuesdays and Thursdays also?
Yeah, the previous day's show. So tomorrow's show will air tomorrow, or today's show will air tomorrow. Wednesday show will air Thursday. Then over the weekend, we'll have a best of, and also Friday show. We'll do best of because everything changes from Friday going into Sunday, or Saturday and Sunday, especially with the games this weekend.
So we're here. We're going to be at the winter meetings in San Diego. I just got the email from the commander. It's going to be at the Manchester Hyatt, again, there on the wharf in San Diego. So we'll be there. We'll be at fantasy camp in January, leading you all the way up to spring training. I decided, and I want to thank Isabel for hooking me up, I'm even busting out the all-white. Look at this shirt, the A's production shirt, kind of going with the all-white look to start out our offseason. This is our offseason, and really, it's maybe my favorite time to do the show because it's not the pressure of covering games, talking about a game that's tonight. Like, for example, today I brought multiple things of what is the big controversy once again in baseball. Sunscreen. Here's Coppertone 30. Here's Neutrogena 55. And, of course, on our set, we got baseballs everywhere. We will talk about that because that is back in the news today after Joe Musgrove completely shut down the New York Mets. Almost said the Knicks. I've been watching at night. I've been watching the Last Dance. I've got a way to tie Last Dance into modern day baseball. Do you believe or not believe that I can pull that off?
I believe you can. I'm going to see where you go with it. What team you're going to use? You're going to use the Yankees?
I'm just going to say I'm going to take Last Dance and said, you know what? If we would have really been paying attention then, what happened in Last Dance is so happening in today's baseball. It's unbelievable. And you couldn't have predicted it. And I think probably the best thing about me watching Last Dance now at night when I go to bed, nothing like going to sleep and watching Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, Steve Kerr, and Jerry Krause and Jerry Reinsdorf. What a great mindset to put you in for a good night's sleep watching these guys. The egos are unbelievable. But I'm gonna tie in some Last Dance with Major League Baseball. I think the commander right now, his head's spinning, saying there's no way he does it. I will do it. I promise you that. Roxy Bernstein is going to be here at 2:00. The legend, one of the great voices in our game, the great Tom Hamilton of the Guardians, will be here at 2:30 as Oh, my God. That extra innings game, the level of baseball play, the level of athleticism and defense, unbelievable. And then we had a little powwow today with Bean, David Forst, Azum.
Kotz was there too.
Kotz, and end of the year, I had to take my kids for their 16-year-old checkup today, so I did not get to hear it. You do have cuts from it. Just what did Billy Bean say about his future?
He says he's going to be here. So Billy had to say. He says he's going to be here.
Did he say he's got a new contract?
He didn't say anything about a contract.
Did David Forst say he's got a new contract?
He did not hear it. I have the Billy cut right here. We can get it. Billy Bean was asked by John Shea of the San Francisco
great
Chronicle
John Shea
about Billy Bean and his future, and here's what Billy had to say.
Yeah, listen, I in any way, shape, I can't imagine that no matter what, if you project 5 years from now, that I believe I will always have something to do with the A's. Until they don't want me here. So does it mean that, I won't continue to have other interests? No, I will. I mean, I have, Johnson, you've known me for a long time, and and there are things I've always had interest in, and I've been lucky that I've been able to pursue those, in connection with what I do now, and that will continue. But also, what will continue no matter what until they, want to kick me out the doors, I will have some involvement in some association, always with the A's, is what I believe. So, and no intention of ending that, at least myself.
All right, there you go. Yeah, I mean, until the big dog, the owner, says no, he's here. Case closed?
Yeah. So
right.
We don't have to worry about hearing about, is Billy going to the Mets or is Billy going to run this team?
Case closed. Well, the thing with the Mets, like, he could have gone to the Mets last year. The thing that Billy Epler, friend of the program, who left the Yankees, went to run the Angels, got fired, then he's now running the Mets. I mean, they just won 100 games and went to the playoffs. You're not running Billy Epler out. So, I mean, I don't think that's really a situation at this point Billy would take. I mean, it is the job that he wants, that he's doing with the A's. Is I'm not doing the day-to-day. I'm going to be the president and oversee everything and have final decisions, but I'm not doing the day-to-day. So that job is there, but, I mean, his day-to-day guy is David Forst. Now, if Billy Epler wasn't there and Bean and Forst could both go, then I may entertain it.
You're telling me they don't want to go run the Royals or the Texas Rangers? Remember Dayton Moore and John Daniels both out there. Yeah, they're saying the Mets one makes.
Let me answer that. Billy Bean and David Forst in the state of Texas, knowing Billy Bean like I do for as many years as I've known him, really well. We text every Saturday. I can say this. Billy and I text every Saturday during college football.
Oh, I know why. And it's not because of Hook 'em Horns, although they did win that game, the Red River showdown.
By a lot.
49-0.
Spartans with another victory. Take that trash home, Las Vegas. Don't bring that UNLV stuff to the Bay Area.
That's first place in the Mountain West Western Conference.
I've known David Forst his entire career with the A's. These guys would be Texas is not them. Not the lifestyle, wives, kids. No, I don't think you have to worry about Texas. But how I really wanted to start the program today, because Ann kind of has a little bit of a Billy Bean theme. It's after yesterday's game. Congratulations to Bob Melvin. I think we're all happy for the skipper. Also a very good friend. And good luck to the Padres in the next round against the Dodgers, because they've absolutely kicked your ass all year long.
What was it? They won 14 of 19. They've won 23 of 28. And I think going back to 2020, it's like 32 of 48.
I did one of my third inning hits this year at the end of the year because the Dodgers Padres played at the
towards the very end. I think
it wasn't the last series, second to last series.
Yeah.
And I had the run differential in that series. It was like 120 to 45.
That's not good.
So, hey, listen, you throw it all out in the playoffs. But until further notice, this hasn't even been a fair fight. And unless you show something, I don't see how there's any way San Diego goes in and beats beats the LA Dodgers. I mean, I'm just looking at a body of work that dates back to 2020. Nothing, you can bring in Melvin, you can bring in Soto, you can bring in everything. Dodgers still whoop you. And so until you stand up to the bully, until you can knock the bully in the mouth and knock him down, I can't believe in you. And that doesn't make me a bad guy. I'm just saying they've kicked the crap out of you. They own you. No matter what move they have made, the Dodgers own the Padres. I'll be rooting for Bob Melvin, but until I see it, I don't believe it. But the one thing I was thinking last night, so what I've been doing is I live across the street from a park. I know you don't care. And there's a dirt track that everybody walks their dog and runs and does all that. So at night, I go out and I walk before I get in bed to watch The Last Dance. I walk at night. And I was thinking about it because this came up as soon as the Mets lost last night. It became the postseason is a crapshoot. And that was something that out of Moneyball, out of that era of A's teams that kept losing, that, you do everything you can for 162 games, and then you get into the postseason, and it's a crapshoot. I don't buy that at all. At all. Craps? What are craps? Craps are a table in a casino where you have dice that you roll the dice onto this flat table on felt. They hit the wall. They come off and they land. It's a game of just complete chance, right? What are 8-sided dice, right?
Sounds right. Yeah, I mean,
that's just chance. You're rolling dice. You're trying to make it. That's what baseball is like. And that is a crock of crap, to put it nicely. And I'm walking last night thinking this, and I was also looking at Twitter because who is everybody making the excuses for right now? Because they think he's a brilliant baseball man.
Buck Showalter?
Buck Showalter. Guy couldn't win with the Yankees. Guy couldn't win with the Orioles. Guy couldn't win with the D-backs. Now he's got, oh my God, he's got this Mets team. He's got Scherzer. He's got DeGrom. Oh, wait till I get into that. Oh, he's got Bassett. He's got this. He's got that. And they're going home. They're going home. It's a crapshoot. That's all the playoffs are, is a crapshoot. And I started thinking, how is this possible? If you really, really look at the way the game of baseball, the way it's played, how can you call it a crapshoot? In a football game, one team can possess, once again, every sport is around a ball or a puck or an object, unless you're swimming. Right? Tennis, tennis ball. Football, football. Basketball, hockey is a puck. Golf ball, golf is a golf ball. Every sport is surrounded by an object. Croquet, polo, you name it. They all have some type of object that is the basis of the game. We're playing a sport. Everybody, like these guys, want to act like we're not playing a sport anymore, but it's an actual sport. And what makes baseball probably more fair than any other sport? Because in basketball, one team can have way more shots a game. Hockey, way more teams can have way more shots on goal. Football, a team can possess the ball 15 to 20 minutes more. You know what sport doesn't have that?
Baseball?
You get 27 outs. I get 27 outs. What you do with your 27 outs is your team's business. But do I get more outs than you?
No.
So we have the same exact amount of outs, 27, barring that we don't go into extras. I've got 27 outs to do my business. I need to do two things in those 27 outs. There's only two things that you can do. Score and prevent the other team from scoring. That's all you can do. There's no other stuff that goes on in baseball. Object is to have guys come around, touch home plate when you're on offense, When you're on defense, it's to prevent the other team from touching home plate. It's that simple. This isn't a complicated game. So I don't know how, and the only advantage is which one of us is at home and I get the last 3 outs, which is not even that huge of an advantage, but that's the advantage.
Yeah, look back to the World Series a few years ago, and was it the Astros and the Nats, where the road team won every game? That doesn't even matter.
Road teams won 3 out of 4 series.
Yep. The only one that won was the Guardians.
I mean, home field advantage is gone. Like, that garbage they started spewing last night. I don't know if you were watching early. Were you watching early?
Yeah, I watched the majority of the game.
David Cohn started doing the whole thing about New York and how tough it is in New York.
If it's that tough, how come City Field didn't sell out yesterday?
This whole New York narrative for all these years is so freaking tired. I mean, the Yankees haven't been to the World Series since 2009. Maybe way back in the day when we didn't have these and the world was much smaller and most of these guys had never been to New York before. And all of a sudden they go to New York and they see all these tall buildings and they're all like, oh my God, it's Yankee Stadium. Ah, Babe Ruth played here in the House of Horrors. And oh my God, the Yankees.
What was their fan? The Bleacher Creatures? Is that what they called their fans?
Well, that stuff's so tired. Doesn't play anymore. The world's much smaller. The guys going to New York. They're not afraid to play in New York anymore. Maybe that worked in the 60s and the 70s and maybe in the 30s and the 40s. But where we are, the world's a small place. No one gives a crap where they're playing. Whether you're in Kansas City, L.A., Miami, New York, Oakland, these kids don't care. These kids, back in the day when Mickey Mantle was playing, there weren't travel ball teams. These kids travel and play baseball all over the country now. It doesn't matter. Do you have some breaking news?
No. Here's the official attendance in the wild card winner-take-all go-home game. They drew 39,241 fans. The lowest of the 3 games at Citi Field. It was not a sellout. So if New York's such a tough place to play and they love how come Citi Field wasn't sold out?
Now, if that was Oakland, they would have had press releases.
Oh, yeah.
They would have been. Yeah.
Well, one of the first comments on the bottom of this was someone said the Pirates got drilled in 1991 when almost 60,000 people filled Three Rivers Stadium. And then someone said, New York's 9 to 10 times bigger than Pittsburgh. And they couldn't even get 40,000 people at Citi Field. But you're right. The narrative, if it was Oakland, anywhere else, it would have been like, hey, they can't fill their – see, they don't care about baseball in New York. What's the excuse? The Giants played in London, big one for the Giants, and the Jets played in New Jersey. It's not like they had to travel far. If you're at that game earlier in the day when the Jets smoked the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, MetLife Stadium is not in New York. It is in New Jersey.
East Rutherford, New Jersey, to be exact.
And I can tell you, having stood on those sidelines, it's freezing. The wind blows it never stops. I mean, you're out there on the marshes. It just blows the entire game. It's miserable. But my point, stop with it's a crapshoot. Because to me, what you're saying is, the power thinkers of the game, which are the front office, we control the game 162 games. We control in a day-by-day process. We can control it. We win because we control the game. But we have less control when we get into the postseason because it's a sport that's played differently. You don't play every single day. You have days off. You're going to have plenty of time off now from this series. I mean, think the game, the series that went 2 games, man, everybody's got 3 days off? They had.
Oh yeah, those teams. Yeah, they played on Saturday. They don't play. 2 days off. Sunday.
They
and
had 2 days off.
Yeah.
So whatever your excuse is that this is a crapshoot, I don't know how it is a crapshoot. Do you think it's a crapshoot now that I've said that? What's a crapshoot about? It's there's nothing that favors you. There's nothing like in football. If I have the ball for 15 plus minutes more a game, which does happen, time of possession, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Unless you're like the greatest show on turf, those Rams teams that scored so fast and their time is they never had the ball because they were just going down and scoring and they blitzkrieg you. And next thing you know, they're up 28-0 or 28-7. And now you're in trouble. If you have time of possession, hey, if the Golden State Warriors are shooting way more than you, you got no chance to win That's not so. What is technically the crapshoot in baseball?
It's a good question.
I mean, they keep saying like, "Oh, you can't." And I'm not judging Buck Showalter. I don't know Buck Showalter. I'm not judging him. I'm not going to, players play. Not much he could have done as a manager. I don't see anything that he did where you went, that's why they lost. Not like Marmol in St. Louis. There's nothing Buck did. Now, I could make a case that what is a big part of postseason play is mentality and the mental side of the game. I've been actually reading a book and about to read another about the mental side of sports and how much, we talk so much about data and the physical part, and really the most important thing of everything in sports is mental. What's going on in your computer that's inside your head called your brain, that really is the most important thing. That's something we don't talk a lot about. And I think that's something that the way Saturday played out could have affected Sunday. But back to here's something that, I look at when you say it's a crapshoot. Weather can be a crapshoot in favor of a team. Like if you got to go play in Buffalo, you got to go play at Green Bay in January when it's freezing cold. That stuff's crap. You don't have that in baseball. So we need to get the crapshoot out of the way. That's just excuses for not winning. I mean, players, it's a sport. Players play. One team's going to win, one team's going to lose. And for some reason, the teams that win never say it's a crapshoot. The teams that lose say it's a crapshoot.
Here's an idea for the Mets.
Like, what if you could explain to me? I would love for you to explain to me what is the crapshoot. What is the crapshoot about two teams, equal rules, equal outs, equal opportunity? What's the crapshoot in the postseason?
There's a way to look at this with the Mets because we're talking about them. They had one hit in the game last night. Can't win a game if you only have one hit.
You played 3 straight games without a day off, so it's like a 3-game series.
Yep.
Now, the wild card game, which we lost in 2 straight years, it's one game, but it was a game. 27 outs each way. You got to play it. I don't see the crapshoot. The weather was the same. We played in New York. We played in Oakland. Played one in 14 in Kansas City.
Well, you sent me this last night, and you sent me the same thing after the Mets played the Braves. I'll give you the numbers. 14 2/3 innings pitched, 12 runs allowed, and 5 home runs allowed. That's Max Scherzer, who you paid $130 million for in the offseason. Jacob deGrom, who ended up getting, I think he got the win on Saturday. And then Chris Bassett, who won 4 innings last night. That's what you got from your three big time arms.
And this is where I'll go with this if we go a little psychology here. Permission to be a psychologist on the program.
You can play one on the radio and on streaming.
All right. If everything is so mental, and what I'm learning, God, I wish I knew when I was actually playing. What was the mentality of the Mets on Saturday? I'll tell you what it is. It was desperation. They had the lead, but the way they played this game was desperation. And there have been people that cover this game who love that way to play in the postseason, right? And I'm thinking of our friends on MLB Now. Why save this? Why do that? This is an elimination game. Do everything to win this game. Tomorrow's tomorrow. But think about if you're the Padres. Their superstar pitcher that everybody wants to act like is so great, I think is truly, finally, people are seeing it my way. Jacob deGrom is a guy that's got great stuff. He goes 6 innings. He strikes a lot of people out, and then he's done. And now you got to go cover 3 innings because he's a China doll. He's fragile. Don't drop him in the dugout. He's going to break. You got to bring out your closer in the 7th inning.
That was unbelievable.
And the Timmy Trumpet's going, and they're all going nuts. But everybody in the stands is like, really? This early? Even the Padres like, really? And the Brian Kennedys of the world saying, yeah, bullpen in, here we go. This is do or die. This is what you do. You know what the Padres did? If I'm the Padres, I'm sitting there going, and remember, the Padres against Ottavino started cracking that armor a little bit in the ninth inning. Even though they lost, they still put some heat on, scored a run, but they were 1 or 2. They scored. We got a fly going in here. I think they scored 1.
Yeah, I'll double check. After I saw the Mets took the lead, I didn't see the end of the game. The Mets Padres scored 1 in the ninth.
Yeah, they scored 1 in the ninth, had runners on. Ottavino, next thing you know, guys are up on both, guys are up in the bullpen for the Mets. Little dicey. The mentality, just think about that. You had the Padres win game 1 in New York, right? Game 2, do or die game. Mets basically said, we don't trust anybody in our bullpen except this guy. And we can't get more than 6 out of the superstar starter. We got to do everything we can to win this game. And that's how you should play postseason baseball. And you know what the Mets felt like? Oh, we got that one. And the Padres are like, they threw everything they had at us. They literally threw everything. We smoked Scherzer game 1. They threw everything. They were so freaking desperate. They threw everything they possibly could at us. And what did the Padres play like it last night? Free and easy.
Yeah.
Free. Padres went, you know what? You got us game 2, but you did everything you possibly could. Padres played free and easy, and the Mets, they were so tight. The Mets were tight because the Mets knew elimination game at home. We did everything we could. Okay, what are we going to get with Bassett? Okay, Bassett's in trouble. Go get him. Let's get to the free and easy versus playing super tight. One team's moving on. One team's having a good time. You want to come out and check our guy for sunscreen? Go right ahead. He's blowing you away. Oh, his spin rates are up. You had a defeatist mentality. Think about the mentality of sports. Who wins? Why is Tom Brady always won? Why? Like going back and watching, and this is not why I'm going to compare The Last Dance, but watching Michael Jordan play in the postseason, Michael Jordan is not freaking out. Michael Jordan's not tight. Michael Jordan, the mentality that you have going into these games. Buck Showalter managed like death was on the horizon on that Saturday when he had the lead. And he didn't technically need to, because ideally what you would have done, if your guy is so great and so dominant, why does he not go out to DeGrom pitch the 7th, have Ottavino pitch the 8th, Timmy Trumpet, and then next thing you know, here we go in the 9th, ball game over, we'll see you tomorrow. But the way that was a stressful Saturday when it shouldn't have been.
No, you're right. And last night they used 7 different pitchers because they left Bassett on a short leash, because you saw the Padres are getting to him early with all the times they step in the box and call time and step out, and that ruined his momentum. And if anytime he tried to find rhythm, and then he was having problems with pitch calm. And the Padres, you're right, played free and easy. You saw it with them last night. I mean, even Juan Soto was swinging at pitches, which was remarkable to see happen.
Finally, Soto bunted, and Soto got a base hit down the left field line. So in this whole, I don't buy the crap shit. You know what? Because you know what you do? It's really poor sportish. Which is not even a word, is it?
Poor sportish? Yeah, I'm going to go with no. I heard,
but it is. It's poor sportsmanship.
Poor, let's just see. Poor sportish. Yeah, poor sport.
I'm making it up. It's poor sportish. It's poor sportsmanship. You know what you're saying? We lost, but it's a crapshoot. It's kind of out of our control. You know what? That's what losers think. That's what losers think. Because the teams that win don't say it's a crapshoot. They pop champagne. Who would you rather be? Popping champagne? Or, it's a crapshoot. What are we supposed to do? It's a playoffs. So does that mean all playoffs are a crapshoot? Is the NBA, the NHL, are the NFL playoffs a crapshoot?
No, I mean, we've seen a few times.
But we had to go on the road, and it was Green Bay, and it was frozen, and we're playing out in California. The Niners, we don't play. We practice at Santa Clara. It's not snowing.
Don't get me started with them.
It's snowing.
Anytime it rains, they can't play. Anytime they play on turf, they get.
Harbaugh went in there and won.
Hey, how many playoff games in a row did the New York Football Giants win? They won in the Green Bay that year.
They went into Tampa, Dallas, Green Bay, and then beat the undefeated. Yeah, tell me this is a crapshoot. Eli Manning, they were a wild card team. What was their record?
I think they were 10-6. Let me see, 2006.
Eli Manning, whatever you think of him, he's great on Monday Night Football. Are they doing tonight's game?
They should.
The Raiders.
It was 2007. They were 10-6.
10-6. Eli Manning and the Giants, Tom Coughlin. They go down and play in a very hot game in Tampa.
Correct.
It was warm.
They won that game 24-14.
Against my guy, John Gruden.
9-7 Bucks that year.
Okay. Then they got to go to Dallas.
13-3.
Who had beaten them twice already.
Yep. It's hard to be team 3 times in a row. Low Neal taught me that one.
Low Neal never won anything. Tony Romo and company. And they went in Arlington. Then they got to go play in the cold in Green Bay.
Let's see. I'm pulling up that game. Let's see what they have the weather for that game. Well, the game took
cold weather's not going to bother the Giants, though.
Yeah, no. Packers that year were 14-3 after their playoffs.
So you beat a 13-3 team and a 14-3 team on the road.
It was -1 with the wind. It was -23.
Okay, so you've beaten Tampa in the heat. You beat back then.
I don't think they played at Jerry's
World. So you had the half-open dome thing at Texas Stadium. So you win at Tampa, at Dallas, and now you go to Green Bay and win. Now you got to take on a team that they're trying to say is the greatest team of all time, the undefeated New England Patriots. They say he's the greatest coach, and they say he's the greatest quarterback, and Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, and they won. Now, was that a crapshoot? Was that a crapshoot?
Just think about it this way: take away the Bucks. What the Giants did is essentially what the Padres are trying to do if they want to go to the World Series. You want to go through how many 100-win teams? They went through the Mets. They got to play the Dodgers. Then they might have to play the Braves, who won 100 games, and then they might have to play the Astros or Yankees. I'm just putting the 100-win. They might have to go through 4 if they make it to the World Series. Win 4 100-win teams to win the World Series.
Is that a crapshoot?
No.
What are these people talking about in crapshoots? I don't get it. That's crazy. By the way, both my teams are still in it.
Yeah, the Guardians. Don't worry, I have Tom Hamilton's call all tuned up for him when he comes on. It'll be our rejoin comeback from break.
If you remember when the A's were out, we chose teams.
Well, one of my 2 still in it.
We chose 2 teams, take an American League and a National League team to root for. My American and my National League team are still in. My Guardians and my Phillies are still alive.
And the Phillies just gave Rob Thompson a 2-year extension to be their manager. So congratulations to him.
Let me ask you a question. If you're listening to your manager, by the way the Cardinals controlled that, Roxy Bernstein was calling
we got his call too.
If the way that ended for the Cardinals, are you happy with your manager right now? I mean, when you got a closer out there who we didn't know at the time he had a bum finger.
Yeah, no.
Hensley, we didn't know.
Yeah, no, we didn't know that. And you see him with the finger, and
all of a sudden, this dude can't throw strikes. He literally almost hit 3 guys.
Yeah, and he was dominant in the regular season.
He almost hit 3 guys. He's got a bad finger. And Segura, Choi, the way he played in the shift, that hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
Last night, Soto's hit against the shift hurt them. Actually, it's Helsley, right?
Yeah, he went 9-1 in the regular season.
Arenado playing in the shift with the shadows hurt him.
There was, he booted a ball too.
Where was the other one? There was another one in the shift that really Segura's in the shift. There's multiple ones where the shift killed these teams, and that's the stuff they never tell you about the percentages. They never tell you what happens when teams beat the shift, but there was multiple games where shifting killed these teams. It just literally killed these teams. Because MLB Tonight did this thing where Choi, earlier in the year in the same scenario, played back and deeper, and he was able to get that ball, but he wasn't able to get Segura's ball. And
no, you're thinking Choi's the first baseman for the Rays. You're
thinking of Goldschmidt.
Goldschmidt
Played deeper then there was also, that's one thing.
Yeah, Troy had one too in the Guardians game.
So there was multiple shifts that killed teams in these games in key moments.
There was one last night. It didn't kill them, but Juan Soto ripped the ball to right, shallow right field, and Jeff McNeil was lined up there in the shift. And it's like, at first I thought it was you. You're like, that's a hit next year.
Yeah, but what hurt them was his little dink down the left field line. A third baseman normally would be there. It's an out. Instead, it's 2 runs, insurance. Would you give up that hit to Juan Soto versus the hit that brought in 2 runs?
Yeah. The shift, they come out, and the play with Troy, and he's usually, Goldschmidt too, they're both very good defensive first basemen.
Goldschmidt and Arenado.
Yeah, the ball that Arenado booted. I was with one of my friends on Friday at a local establishment here in San Jose watching that game because he's a Cardinals fan, and he was not happy with what happened, but he couldn't believe it. I was like, dude, Arenado booted a ball. He might be the best defensive third baseman of his generation, defensive player of his generation. And in a big-time moment, he finally has a big-time spot, and he boots the ball. He still had a great year. Some people think he could be the NL MVP, but I wouldn't be happy with Oli Marmol. Helsley, 9-1 in the regular season with a 1.25 ERA, 19 saves, 94 strikeouts, and 64 2/3. He's 28 years old. He had a great year. Same thing happened. We saw the same thing happen in the Guardians-Rays game. I don't know if you saw it.
But he had a hurt finger.
Well, it was getting me to.
And he can't feel it. And then after we find out, he can't even feel his finger. You can't feel. Was it his middle finger?
I think so.
You can't feel your middle. You can't feel your middle finger on the ball.
And your guy that throws over 100 miles an hour.
And you can't find the plate, and you don't go get this guy out of here.
The other one, I don't remember seeing what happened after the game, but I remember watching when he's pitching. Our guy Peter Fairbanks.
He was all over the place.
But apparently he couldn't feel. He lost feeling in his hand too.
He was all over the place.
I wanted to see what I forgot to look to see what happened to him. Like if there was some kind of
how do you feel about
finger numbness?
How do you feel about old Oli Marmol now as a manager?
What is he? 30? What is he? 35?
36.
Okay, he's 2 years older than I am. I'll be 34 next month.
So after the game, was it game 2 or game 1? After one of the games. He was just talking percentages. And you're like, you just managed by the book and you lost. I get it. That's, that gets back to you're doing with the front. A guy like, you basically just said you're a puppet. You're instead of robo up, you're robo manager.
Yeah. The same thing last year too was, last year, 2 years ago, I don't know if you remember the quote from Mike Schilt, the former Cardinals manager. He said that, our analytics guy said this. He's just playing the numbers as they tell him what to do. We always say that about Kevin Cash in Tampa Bay.
Kevin Cash goes home early again.
Yeah, and he wasn't. That's not for pulling his starters early this time either. They just couldn't score, which is remarkable. And real quick on the Guardians, 29th in the league in home runs this year. They end up scoring all 3 runs via the home run for them. Oscar Gonzalez, the rookie, hitting the walk-off home run in the 15th inning. That was awesome. And Tom Hamilton's call will play it. It's Tom Hamilton. He lives for those moments.
I did a thing with my friends where we mapped out the postseason. I have the Guardians losing to the Astros in the ALCS.
I picked the Astros. That's the only team I picked is still alive.
Yeah, you went chalk.
What do you mean? I picked the best team in the American League? Who would have known?
I watched the Guardians take down the Yankees. They put the graphic up last night. I know I sent it to you. They put the graphic up last night. Let me see if I can find it here. They put the graphic up about runs per home run. And this is what scares me. And this is why I told you the Yankee. I have said it. I'll continue to go out on that limb that the Yankees will not make the World Series.
I have that audio still. You told me to, as we used to say in radio, mark the tape.
Mark the tape. That percentage of runs via home run, just off the top of your head, what do you think the percentage of the Yankees runs are via the home run?
57. Is that too high?
That's too high. It's actually down.
48.
It's 50.8. That's number 1 in baseball. So basically, half their runs come from, and I think that really went down in the last 2 weeks because I remember it was up to 51 or 52%, to where the Indians are 28th in baseball. The Guardians. 28th in baseball at 31.8.
Yeah, they were 29th in baseball in home runs. Only
So-
Detroit had less.
Like what Cody just said, they hit a couple home runs and one, but they can score. They can score in different varieties. Where the Yankees are gonna, if they're bombing it, they're gonna feel good. If they're not bombing it, remember the mental side of this sport. They're questioning how do they score. The media is going to be asking them after every single game, why can't you score? If they don't hit home runs, they won't score. If the Indians can prevent
Guardians.
the Guardians can prevent them from hitting home runs, I can see we're looking at an ALCS of the Guardians versus, I've got to think it's going to be the Astros is kind of similar to Dodgers Padres. The Astros have manhandled the Seattle Mariners.
Yeah, I can tell you right now how they were this year. The Astros were 12-7 versus the Mariners in 2022. That was the most losses the Mariners had all year versus anyone else. So you got that, and you got Verlander game one. So good luck with that one. He had a pretty good year. And then if you want to look at the Guardians and the Yankees, this is now the fifth matchup between these two in the postseason. The 1997 ALDS, obviously Guardians won that when they went to the World Series. 98 ALCS, we know the Yankees won the World Series that year. 2007 ALDS, the 2017 ALDS, and the 2020 Wild Card Series, which I believe the Guardians won that series against the Yankees.
Do you know what all that means?
Oh no, the Yankees won that series.
Do you know what all that means?
Nothing.
What would 1997 have
I'm
to do with?
I'm just giving you history of them in the postseason.
I hate that. What is there anybody left from the 98 Yankees or Guardians on the team?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think
Bartolo's not in the league anymore.
I don't think anybody's left.
Guardians, youngest team in baseball. First team to be the youngest team in baseball to reach the postseason since the 1986 New York Metropolitans. And they had
what year?
1986. They were pretty good that year. I think they won the World Series.
They were that youngest team?
They were the youngest team in baseball in 86. They're the last team to be the youngest team to reach the postseason.
They were that young?
Yeah. I mean, Doc Gooden was only like 21, 22.
Because he came up at 19. What time? What, in 84?
Yeah.
How old was Strawberry in 86? Because they had old dudes. They had Ray Knight. They had Gary Carter. Those guys weren't young.
Let's see.
Yeah, thank you. Gary Carter's 32. Keith Hernandez is 32.
Ray Knight's 33. George Foster was 37.
Who's young?
Dykstra's 23. Strawberry's 24.
That's not that young.
Let's see.
That was Gooden.
Gooden was...
Kevin Mitchell's 24.
Gooden was 21. Ron Darling was 25. Sid Fernandez was 20. Like, their pitching staff is what carried down their age.
Roger McDowell, 25. Yeah. Rick Aguilera, who was a great pitcher.
Let's see. Better question. Who was the oldest guy? I don't think John Franco was on that team.
Oh, Franco in there.
Yeah, Jesse Roscoe was 29 at the time.
I bet Franco was like in high school in 1986.
The oldest guy on the team would have been Ray Knight at 30. No, sorry, George Foster, 37. Then Ray Knight. But yeah, that's the stat I saw. It was like the night they were the first team since the
a position. Mookie Wilson's 30. So their position players aren't young.
Here, let's look up the 22.
That is a stat that, see, I had to fact check you. It is factually correct, but I think it skews a little. Not skews. I think it you could try and prove a point, but I'm not buying the whole young. Because all their position players are basic guys in their 30s.
Here, I'll give you the Guardians real quick. This is just their position players. Austin Hedges, their catcher, is 29. Josh Naylor.
Not young.
Naylor's 25. Andres Jimenez, their second baseman, is 23. Rosario's 26. Jose Ramirez is the old guy. He's 29.
That's ancient.
Stephen Kwan's 24.
And is just entering his prime.
Miles Strauss, 27.
Prime.
Oscar Gonzalez with the walk-off, 24.
Every guy's under 30. That's young.
Owen Miller, 25. Ernie Clement's with the A's now. Those are the guys. Will Benson's 24. The Will Brennan, who they called up, is 24. Now look at their starters. Their starters are young too. Bieber's 27. McKenzie's 24. Quantrill, Plesac, Savali, who they just added to their postseason roster.
Tristan McKenzie, it feels like he's been pitching for years.
I know. 11-11 this year.
Hey, can I throw this out here?
Their closer's 24.
Tristan McKenzie, 24 years old, had 30 starts. Hey, A's. Tristan McKenzie's 24 at 30 starts. Okay?
So long he's been up here for a few years.
Just saying. 30 starts.
He's had 60 career starts already. He's been pitching since 2020.
I don't know when I'm going to unveil this, but I have a plan for the A's for 2023. I've been thinking about this because I need to get a life. I admit it, but I've been thinking about this. I want to give you a path for being competitive next year. I think I have a path, and I will have certain numbers to back me on that path for the A's to be successful in 2023. And right there, want you to see that. Tristan McKenzie, who, by the way, has been a guy that early on, you didn't know what you're getting. Electric arm, but you don't know what you're getting.
For sure.
30 starts at 24 years old. 30. And that's what, the one thing, the other day I was playing golf, and they brought up Stephen Vogt. And, yeah, Stephen Vogt the last day was magical. It was. It was great. And I'm glad all the fans and everybody had a good time. But you know what the number one thing was on that last Wednesday, which was, a week ago?
Yeah, almost a week ago.
Do you know what was the number one thing? What was the number one thing that happened on that Wednesday? Let's see. Let's test your baseball mind.
Oh,
Stephen Vogt's not coming back next year.
Oh, I know.
Great memory. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. That's a classic. We'll never forget it. But what's the number one thing that happened in that game?
Ken Waldichuk went 7 scoreless.
For Shohei Ohtani. Ken Waldichuk shoved. Ken Waldichuk down the stretch showed you, I can be a player in this league. Here you have this vaunted offense where everybody's talking about Shohei Ohtani's the greatest thing ever. Mike Trout's the greatest player ever. Angels had come in playing pretty well. They ended the season actually winning some games.
Yeah.
Gave Phil Nevin, if you can believe this, that nut job, they gave Phil, that's a kiss of death, gave Phil Nevin a 1 year. We're going to give you 1 year.
So he's already a lame duck.
Already a lame duck. We're going to give you a lame. And what happens? What happens?
They got swept?
Ken Waldichuk.
Waldichuk.
Waldichuk went out there and shoved for 7 innings. And you know the funny thing about I was thinking about this last night for this show, is now that we probably should get into it. All the talk, and because our guy, Eno Saris, and I bet Eno's going nuts right now.
Friday at 3 o'clock, Eno Saris.
Eno Saris has been like, stuff's back. They're using the stuff again. I got the stuff. You ready? Copper tone. 30. I got Neutrogena. Ooh, watch your you know what. This is 55 sunscreen. That's it. That's the big villain in sports right there. Some rosin in that. You buying it? You want to spray some on here? I got a baseball here. I can go get some powder. You want to tell me how sticky it is?
You should do it. You're the former pitcher.
You want to do? I don't want to put. This is what I use for golf. It's a pain in the ass to get off, and I'm going to watch Monday Night Football after this, so I am not putting it on. But yeah, I literally take this stuff, I douse myself in it all over.
I can attest. I see you douse yourself on the field.
Not
in that, but
all over. Skin cancer. People in my family that had skin cancer. I don't want it. We go to the beach. Get the beach house during the All-Star break. I get the kids all over them.
I see you more as the guy that gets the cream and wipes, and he had like the white marks.
This is the cream. You want to tell me that? Like, what are they? This is not sticky. I'm telling you right. All right, I'll put some on it. It's going to smell up the studio. How sticky is this?
Not at all.
All right, I can go get powder. You think it's going to really change the cement?
No.
It's now. That's the thing. It's like Eno freaks out, writes articles about it. And I'm telling you right now, this is not sticky at all. If I could get this to be sticky, I'd put it on my golf club, especially when it's getting hot and you're sweating. I would love to be sticky. This is not sticky, and now I'm wiping it on him. Is that sticky? I can go get some powder, but it's not going to be that sticky. So I'm wondering when they say bullfrog, because copper tone, I don't know. But I was on Bullfrog's website today because you know why? I'm an investigative journalist. You knew that, right?
Yes. I mean, and plus you always believe everything you read on the internet.
So I went on Bullfrog's website today. And you can go to what I'm wondering, because what Musgrove had on his body, if he had it on, or whatever he had on his body, if it's going to be shiny, so I just put sunscreen on my fingers. Is my fingers shiny? You see up close. I'll put them right in the camera. Is anything shiny? It's not.
No.
It's not. Nothing shiny. I just put Copper Tone 30 on my fingers. It's not shiny. And I got a ball here. I can go get powder. I'm telling you, it may help a little bit. But this whole RPM thing that they're selling. And Billy Ripken, and remind me to ask Eno about this. And I wish we had Emo too. Maybe we'll get him coming up here. Got to remember, how big is Joe Musgrove? 6'4"?
Oh, he's at least, I thought he was like 6'5". Let's just double check.
Okay. 60 feet, 6 inches is the mound to home plate.
6'5".
He's 6'5". So by the time I'm 6'5", by the time I come down the mountain, I come down the mound, I come under, and here it comes. Here comes the curveball. This is my curveball. All right? Bill Ripken did a pretty good job, right? A 4-seam fastball. You see the seams of a baseball, right? So a 4-seam fastball, 1-seam, 2-seam, 3-seam, 4-seam. 4-seam fastball comes at you like this, right? And they're saying because of the sticky stuff, it sticks and it allows the ball to stay. Doesn't make the ball go faster. Stuff can't make the ball go faster. And if you were Gaylord Perry and you're doing all this, it would make the ball dance and move and go all over the place. And Vaseline causes less spin. It's why guys, you want to talk about cheaters in golf? You probably don't even know about this. If you take a thin layer of, I got to have a golf club in here, right? Yeah. Hold on, everybody.
Yeah, there's one behind your door. I wonder who, I feel like I've heard this before about golf clubs. I want to say Low Neal, when I used to work with him, was talking about some cheating with the golf clubs. Someone used to do.
Okay, I got a 20-degree hybrid here, my old hybrid, Mizuno. Okay, I want to put this in the camera. If you're just listening, I apologize, but picture a golf club. There is a belief in cheaters, gamblers, would put Vaseline on the face of the golf club. Because what it causes the ball, when the ball hits the club with the Vaseline on it, the ball doesn't spin as much. So if you're someone that pushes the ball, you come around it and slice it, or you come from inside out too much and flip your hands, you hook it. So if you're a slicer or a hooker and you've got Vaseline on it, the ball's not going to spin as much. And that's what Gaylord Perry and our great friend Ray Fosse, as you see the bobblehead here, Gaylord would use it to get less spin and the ball would dip and dive everywhere. No one knew, including Gaylord, knew where the hell it was going. So that was the foreign substance of the slippery Vaseline, right? And if you look at Musgrove's ears last night, they're shiny. What would you think that is? I just showed you what sunscreen looks like. I feel my fan. I just put sunscreen on my. Do you feel anything?
No. No, I
mean, I can go get baby powder, and I really don't want to do that. But I can tell you, if I put it on, if I put like rosin or like a baby powder and did sunscreen, it's not going to be that. It may help. I don't know. What is this update on KGO?
Oh, they're not around anymore. They're rebranding. I think.
What are they calling it?
I thought it was going to be like a sports. Someone told me it's supposed to be like maybe a sports betting kind of thing.
It's going to be a sports gambling station.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah, 80 years, KGO, 80 years. Now all that's left KCBS and what, KQED? are the two big news stations.
KGO was the ultimate powerhouse when I first got into radio. They were the big swingers. They paid millions to have the Niners. They billed more than anybody. They were number one, and now they're going to be a sports gambling station.
My friend who works for Cal, first question he asked me, he goes, have you heard about this? And two, what's happening for us? I'm like, well, no, I haven't heard about it. And two, I'm curious, where are you going to hear Cal football games going forward?
Where is that? Well, it's going to be a sports station.
Yeah, but do they want to be affiliated with sports gambling in a college program?
Do you think they care?
Probably not. It's college football.
Is it going to be Brent Musburger's stuff out of Las Vegas?
Oh, it's a good point. VSiN? It could be VSiN. It could be the Action Network. There's a lot of different ones you could do. I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up. I just know it's going to be today was the day they were changing the format to sports gambling.
Is there going to be that many people going to AM radio to listen to sports gambling?
That's a great question. I'm going to say probably not.
Good luck with that. Back to cheating. From gambling back to cheating.
Do you want McCutcheon's tweet about Musgrove?
Well, let me. So if I've got so a curveball is the absolute opposite, right? If I come with a curveball, here's my four seams. 1, 2, 3, 4. The curveball, instead of going like this with the four-seam fastball, now it's rolling. It's spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning. And this is the whole thing, which is funny that I had to listen to my favorite program, or I should say watch my favorite program, MLB Now, to have them start breaking down. And by the way, Mike Lowell backed everybody up today going, you're just basically saying he's a cheater. Do you have proof? And well, I got these numbers. He went out, got checked. I technically don't care. But he went out there and got checked. You went through the protocol, and then you cleared him. I mean, what else are you going to do? Bring a scientist out there and wipe it down and put it in solution? I mean, they will have the balls, right? They will have the balls?
Yeah.
Okay. So they can test that way. But his RPMs basically went up, and the spin rate went up, right? So the big question is, and this is what I could talk to Scott Emerson about today and talk to Eno on Friday, is basically it's the ball spinning. Are we really freaking out over it rotating through the air one more time?
Apparently the Mets were.
I mean, I'm not a big league hitter, but the point of Joe Musgrove being 6'5", by the time he comes down that hill and he's throwing it, he's not at 6 feet 6 inches anymore. He's at 50-something feet. This ball literally only has 50-something feet to go from his hand to the catcher. 50-something feet. That's it. That's not a long time. It's boom, and it's gone, and it's in the catcher's glove. So how many times can this ball spin? So when you say he's spinning at 2,700 normally, and tonight all amped up, now he's at 2,900. Oh, he's cheating. He may be. I don't know if he's not. Do you know if he's cheating or not?
I don't, and we never will know. And if you want to look at this Musgrove, he's been good his last 5 starts. I'm trying to find someone had the numbers on him.
He was 4-0 with like a something low ERA.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Someone had his exact numbers, but yeah, he's been awesome. Now against the Dodgers, different story, but there's so many tweets about from the same guy that had it. His last 6 innings, no runs, 5 innings, 1 run, 5 innings, no run, 6 innings, no runs, 5 innings, no run. Or what did he go last night? 7 innings, no runs.
So, are we flipping out over the ball spinning one more time? I mean, it's not like I use this stuff, and all of a sudden my spin rate, the ball, it's like 15 more revolutions. Zzz. It's literally how much? 1? That's what I want. That's what, because I guarantee you, Eno's freaked out about this today. Has he put anything out on Twitter?
Let's check.
Like the people that have been following the sticky stuff for baseball have just been going nuts. And I'm wondering, are we flipping out over one more spin of the baseball?
His first tweet, he had an article, but Joe Musgrove's raw spin rate was up, but once you account for his velocity, there was nothing to see with his fastball. His slider depends on your perspective.
Coming up next, Roxy Bernstein covered the St. Louis-Philadelphia series in St. Louis for ESPN. Will join us next right here on A's Cast Live. That's a good first hour. We didn't even take a break right here on A's Cast.
The Coliseum has gone by many names, but none better than the Last Dive Bar. Hi, everyone. Ken Korak here, and my friends at Last Dive Bar are helping us celebrate our longtime home. Last Dive Bar has the most unique merchandise for all Oakland baseball fans. T-shirts, sweatshirts, the Ray Fosse line, and my personal favorite, the lights have taken full effect. Visit their website at lastdivebar.com or follow them on social media at Last Dive Bar. All proceeds are invested back into local Bay Area charities. Go to lastdivebar.com. That's lastdivebar.com.
The Eno Saris Show is sponsored by Fieldwork Brewing Company. With 8 taproom locations in Northern California, Fieldwork brings you fresh craft beer direct from the source. Fieldwork will also ship beer direct to your door if you live in California. Visit fieldworkbrewing.com.
Humanity has accomplished a whole lot so far. We created penicillin, the automobile, and the internet, not to mention drones, duct tape, and the hot dog. It's all thanks to the power of human connections. And Ring Central's here to make that even easier, more seamlessly and securely, on a platform built to grow your business. Say hello to a whole new way to say hello. Visit ringcentral.com and say hello to possibilities. Ring Central. Message, video, phone, together.
Coming in at 5'3", it's number one mom. She switched to Xfinity and got the all-new 3-for-1 bundle. Unlimited internet, streaming, and Xfinity Mobile. All for what you could pay wireless companies for just one 5G unlimited line. Boom shakalaka. Go to Xfinity.com/3-for-1, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store today. Limited time offer, restrictions apply. Xfinity Mobile requires post-pay Xfinity internet. After 24 months, regular rates apply to all services and devices.
A's fans, there is no better way to stay in touch with the A's and even our players than following us on social media. Just head over to athletics.com/social. That's athletics.com/social for a full list of our social coverage, from player accounts to Twitter handles and more. Now is the time to stay in touch. Head over to athletics.com/social. That's athletics.com/social today.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is a national brand with family-owned prices and service. You can shop at one of their Bay Area locations, and all stores are sanitized and safe, or you can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. That's nestbedding.com. Green and gold fans, use the coupon code Oakland and you'll get 10% off your entire order. Nest Bedding, love where you sleep.
Some things just go together. Peanut butter and jelly, cookies and milk, Oakland and Kaiser Permanente. If that last one caught you off guard, it shouldn't, because Kaiser Permanente has been helping keep Oakland healthy since our very beginning. And as the official healthcare partner of the Oakland A's, that won't be changing anytime soon. Whatever you may need, you can trust Kaiser Permanente to help keep you feeling your best. Kaiser Permanente. Thrive. Visit kp.org today.
Hey, A's fans, you know that running your own business is a slugfest every day. That's why businesses have been counting on Mechanics Bank since 1905. From operating lines of credit to equipment and real estate loans, they can help build your lineup to meet today's challenges and prepare for tomorrow's opportunities. Stop by your local branch or visit mechanicsbank.com today. Mechanics Bank, the official East Bay bank of the Oakland A's. Member FDIC and equal housing lender. All loans subject to program eligibility and credit approval.
Hi, this is Eduardo Perez from ESPN. When I'm in the Bay Area, I make sure I listen to A's Cast Live.
The 2-2 to Edman. Swing and a pop-up. Foul ground. Maybe a play. Sosa racing over. Makes the catch in front of the Phillies dugout. And the Phillies have won the wild card series.
Where is Roxy Bernstein from ESPN and the Pac-12 Network?
I'm at home, Chris. I'm here.
Put him up so I can see him. I don't know. He's got some funky. Oh, there he is. 4-letter network. Hi, Roxy.
Hi, Uncle Townie. How are you?
I am doing well. So you called the series. You were there. It's just different when you're there and you're hearing everything in town. Give us the perspective of the fighting Phillies and give us the perspective from the St. Louis Cardinals.
I mean, it's funny because the Phillies advanced, but really the conversation was that was the end of the line for Albert Pujols, Yadier Molina, and possibly Adam Wainwright as well. And that was kind of the feeling leaving the ballpark that night is, as far as the Phillies go, their starting pitching, Chris, was fabulous. With Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola, the way they're pitching right now, they're going to go to Atlanta with confidence, but they're taking on a team that's a juggernaut right now. So I think Rob Thompson, who had the interim tag removed, he is now the manager of the Philadelphia Phillies, well-deserved. Enjoyed my conversations with him over the weekend in St. Louis, and it's easy to see why they play hard for him, why they like playing for him. And you're happy for him, and you just feel for the Cardinals. And Pujols and Molina, their careers are over. And a miserable weekend for Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt, who just could not get anything going. And the Cardinals had no offense in that series.
What were your interactions like with Oli Marmol? Because you get to talk to the skippers and just a lot of people not thrilled the way he handled late in games.
It's funny because we asked him prior to game 2 about what happened at the end of game 1. And when Ryan Helsley couldn't go anymore, Helsley, as Oliver told us, lost feeling in his fingers, and he couldn't, on his release, he had no feel for the baseball.
Yeah, he hit a guy and then almost hit 2 other guys.
Yeah.
He's throwing 100+, and you're like going, something's really wrong here. What are we doing?
And he was cruising along. He gave up a single to JT Realmuto, and then he kind of lost it. And they asked him to get 5 outs. He couldn't do it. And then he had to come out. And then they went to Andre Palante, which I thought was an interesting choice by the Cardinals. They had Palante up. They'd already used Jordan Hicks. They had already used Giovanni Gallegos. And they anticipated Helsley finishing it off. But then he had to come out. They had Palante and Jack Flaherty up in the bullpen. And look, Flaherty battling back from an injury. I don't know how confident they felt in Flaherty coming in that situation. Chris, he's a starter. He's used to opening up with a clean inning. He's not used to coming in with traffic on the bases, right? And trying to wiggle his way out of it. And Oliver Marmol told us it would have been a lot to ask of him coming in that situation, even though he was up in the bullpen at that time. So they went with Palante, and it just didn't work. And shockingly, the Phillies came back and won game 1, and then Aaron Nola was fabulous in game 2.
Shifting did not help the Cardinals in this series.
It did not, although no matter what shift you were playing, they were not going to keep Bryce Harper in the ballpark with that smash that he hit to lead off the second inning off of Miles Michaelis. That ball was just annihilated. But it's funny because the Phillies defense had been criticized. Alec Boehm, for example, in defensive runs saved, had the worst rating of any third baseman in baseball. And he made 2 brilliant plays at third base in this series. And so, look, I think he's better than the numbers would indicate. Do I think he's in a Arenado Chapman conversation? No, he's not that good. But he made 2 fantastic plays. And they were supposed to have some shortcomings defensively also, right? Harper relegated to DHing because of the elbow problem. So they got Schwarber in left. They got Castellanos in right. And those guys can't cover any ground at all. It didn't hurt him in that series. But moving forward, that could be a problem for them going to Atlanta when that series starts tomorrow.
You know, when you get into a tournament, and you've been covering college basketball as long as anybody, you get a hot team. It doesn't matter the matchups. It doesn't matter we can look at tail of the tape and we can look what you did for 162 games. Does not matter. You can look at all the data you want, all the predictors you want. Does not matter. You find a hot team. Belief is a tough thing to beat. how much do you believe in that with the Phillies now?
Well, they clearly believe in themselves. And everybody really had a hand in this one. When you look at it, the starting pitching, the bullpen with Alvarado and Dominguez, and now Eflin working in the back end of the bullpen after being a starter his entire career. They're going to go with Ranger Suarez in game 1. He would have gone in game 3 had the Cardinals won and forced a game last night. But they believe, and especially the way that Wheeler and Nola are pitching right now. If you go inside the numbers for Aaron Nola this year, look, I know he was 11-13 with an ERA of 3.25, but he's having a historic season in terms of strikeout to walk ratio. This year, I believe the stat is someone to have more than 225 strikeouts and under 30 walks. He did that for just the second time in the history of Major League Baseball. And the first time it was done was by a pitcher for the Boston Bean Eaters in 1884. That's how historic what Aaron Nola did this year as far as strikeout to walk ratio. He's added a cutter. He's got outstanding command of 3 to 4 pitches. And look, he's not going to win the National League Cy Young. And more than likely, you're looking at Urias maybe from the Dodgers in the conversation, Burns, Davies from the Braves who won 21 games. And look, it's wide open, but Nola should be in that. He won't be, but he should be in the conversation considering what he's done this year.
You know, that Bean Eater Ball Club was a tough ball club, Roxy.
1884, Uncle Townie.
Yeah, those guys weren't flying around on private jets with big per diems.
And the guy Whitney did it. He threw like 520 innings that year.
He wasn't staying at the Ritz-Carlton or the Four Seasons, Roxy. These guys were grinding.
And their post-game spread was not catered like it is these days.
Thoughts, Mets, Padres?
First off, I'm thrilled for Bob Melvin and Sean Manaea that they're able to move through, and Jurickson Profar had a big hand in it. And it's funny because you look at him on one side, and then you've got Canna and Marte and Bassett on the other. You feel for them. But I'm really happy for Bob. And the thing that's going to stand out to me, look, all this money the Mets spent in their payroll, and they were silenced by Joe Musgrove yesterday, was the Bush League tactic that Buck Showalter did last night.
Oh, you're on the side of Bush League. I like it.
Oh, it is. That was a desperate move by a desperate man. He knew they were beaten. And the only shot he had to get Musgrove off his game was to try to rattle him, and it clearly didn't work. And Musgrove was fantastic last night. I think he fed off it. Look, if you're going to pull something in that situation, Chris, you better be 100% right. And Showalter was wrong. You can't do it in that spot. It made him look foolish. And I don't know. It made me happier that what happened to the Mets happened last night, the way Musgrove pitched, because I thought it was really the poor gamesmanship from Buck Showalter last night.
And then now you have San Diego against L.A. L.A. has kicked the crap. It doesn't matter what Padres have done. You can bring in Juan Soto. You can bring in Bob Melvin. It doesn't matter. Dating back now for years, but especially this year, when you look at that I don't have it in front of me. I had it at the end of the year. The run differential between the two teams and their series against each other is a joke. It has not been competitive. Anything can happen, but you're the Padres. These guys have been the bully. They've been kicking you down the road, taking your lunch money. They've been taking their lunch money.
The thing for the Padres is they need Josh Bell was a big deal of the deadline in that deal with Soto. They need Josh Bell to be Josh Bell. He has not been with San Diego yet. He had some quality at-bats in the series against the Mets. They need him to step up. I think it was great that Trent Grisham, who really struggled with the bat for a lot of the year, that he came through huge for the Padres. Austin Nola had a huge hit last night. You need those role players. And the thing that concerns me, Chris, for the Dodgers' perspective, is where is the starting pitching? Gonsolin has barely pitched since the injury. Certainly Urias and Anderson's had a great year, and Kershaw's there. But there's questions about the bullpen. Now, the Dodgers are a juggernaut. They have the best record in baseball for a reason. And that's what the Padres are going to try to knock off. But San Diego just, beat one of the best teams that money could buy. With all the money the Mets spent to go into Citi Field in New York and silence them in a Game 3, Padres are, the way they're looking at it, they're playing with house money. The pressure's on the Dodgers right now.
Yeah, I told our audience I've been reading this book about psychology and sports and the mentality. A lot has to do with golf, but it applies to everything. And just, to me, I looked at Saturday, the way the Mets just, got to get this. Oh, my God, we just this one. They did everything. And then San Diego was like, yeah, they got to run in the ninth. And, man, we got these guys. They just gave us everything they had, and they could barely beat us. And then San Diego went out, played free and easy, and won. And bye-bye Mets. There's some, we talk so much about the data and the numbers, but so much is what's in your head. And I'm thinking about Padres Dodgers. It also makes me think we'll flip series. Makes me think Astros against Seattle. Astros have had the Mariners number. They're the Astros.
One more thing on this the Padres Mets thing. All the talk going into Game 1 was the arrogance from the Mets, right? That they were going with Scherzer, so they were going under the assumption they were going to win Game 1. And they were talking about holding DeGrom back to go in Game 1 of the DS, save him for the Dodgers, and we're going with Bassett in Game 2. And then all of a sudden, Yu Darvish just deals. They hit the home runs, then panic set in. On the other side, there's what about that comeback by the Mariners? To be down 8-1 in a place as frenzied as the Rogers Center is in Toronto. Right? For that comeback, Seattle's going to be rolling in with a lot of confidence. And look, the Dodgers and Padres don't like each other. Neither do the Mariners and the Astros. And nobody seems to like the Astros. But they're going to feel good about themselves. They made the big deals to go get Castillo. They're confident in the rotation. I think they have some questions about their bullpen. But now that Rodriguez is back in center field, I think we're going to treat it to a great series. And the thing that keeps getting, I think, overlooked when people talk about the Astros, I know you don't overlook this, and neither does the Commander, but just how good the pitching has been for Houston. Right now that Verlander is back, but the best ERA in baseball, their bullpen has been lights out. That's been the key for Houston all season is their pitching. And if they get enough offense, that's just fine for Dusty Baker in Houston.
You make a great point about the Rogers Center because I do play golf with a couple Canadians that like to tip it back, and they get a little crazy. So now you've got 50,000 liquored up Canadians. That's not an easy place to win.
No, it gets loud. It's right on top of you. I love going to games in Toronto because of that atmosphere and the energy. Look, it's not a hockey game. It's not like the Leafs are going to come out there, but it's right there, and they love their baseball. And with that good young team, that energy, they seem to be cruising to a Game 2 win. We're going to have a Game 3. And then I'm not sure what's more shocking, the comeback that I saw in Game 1, just because the Phillies were flat and dead and the Cardinals just handcuffed them for 8 innings, or the comeback probably just because of how far back Seattle was, being down 8-1, rallying like they did. It's probably a little bit more eye-opening than the one I saw on Friday.
When is the last time the Toronto Maple Leafs won a big hockey game?
That's a very good question. Well, they haven't won the Cup since what, the early 60s? So
I think 1967, something like that.
Matt Sundin ain't walking through that door, Uncle Townie.
How can you be like the flagship team in Canada and not win ever?
Let's first off, the Montreal Canadiens are the flagship team, right?
That's French Canadian. That's so played out.
What do they have? Cody, the Canadians have 27 championships?
You're Toronto, man. You're the number one city in your country, and you can't bring one home.
I was right. It was 1967 for the Leafs.
Yeah.
What is the number? It's like New York City. It's like a team from New York not having won. It's like the Knicks. They're basically like the Knicks of the NBA. When's the last time the Knicks won? 70, what was that?
Phil Jackson, the player.
73. We were 1 year old, Roxy. Last time the Knicks brought one home.
I wasn't even a full year old yet.
Roxy, they have 24 Stanley Cups.
24 Stanley Cup titles. Yeah. The Yankees got 27. Yeah.
Hey, by the way, I hope the Sharks are better on the mainland than they are in Europe.
This is going to be a painful rebuild. I'm not optimistic.
I mean, Prague. I'm not saying I don't know how tough it is to play in Prague, but
yeah. Hey, Tomas Hertl scored a goal in Prague. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
One other thing that was really cool about my trip to St. Louis was getting to be there and saying that I was able to broadcast Albert Pujols' last game. And it was great that he went out with that smash of a single down the line in his final at bat. I think it's great that Yadier Molina picked up a hit in his final at bat.
I thought he was going down in that. I'm like, oh, this is going to be.
I thought he had no chance. I thought he was overmatched. I was like you. And then he just flicked it out in the right center. It was great to see. And he was emotional. Yeah, Albert was more matter of fact. And maybe because he came out in the 8th inning. But I could see the emotions in Yadier Molina. And the cool thing is our booth behind home plate. Off to our right was the Cardinals Spanish broadcast booth, where Benji Molina is broadcasting Spanish radio for the Cardinals. So I could see the emotions in him as well with those Hall of Fame careers coming to an end. I don't know what's going to happen with Adam Wainwright. I think he's still thinking about it. His stuff is good enough to come back for one more year. I know he struggled in September after a great August, and he didn't pitch in that series, but I don't know if he's going to come back minus Yachty, and now that Pujols came back. And it's crazy to think the second half and the season Albert Pujols had. I mean, the OPS that he had was better than any year he had with the Angels, which is crazy to think about at 42 years of age.
Permission to ruin a good moment.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So Molina didn't have a basketball game he needed to go to. He could show up for this postseason matchup.
He made himself available for the the National League wild card. Yeah,
he didn't have like a Puerto Rican Venezuela basketball game where
his basketball team, I think, was on break. They had a bye.
Just I'm glad he could. I'm glad the leader could show up for the postseason. I'm happy he could. Who are we missing here? Oh, my Guardians! Come on, you gotta love my Guardians up against your Bronx Bombers.
Oh, my Bronx Bombers!
Your evil empire. We're coming for you.
How about what a story the Guardians in? And first off, I just love the way they play. Right? They play baseball. They play baseball like it was when we grew up. Yeah. Right? In terms of contact, putting the bat on the baseball, running, putting pressure on the defense, playing good defense with Biebs and McKenzie dealing. I'm happy for Tito and Francona, and what a job that he did this year to get that team to play the way they're playing. And the Yankees seem a little bit disarray right now, don't they? This whole Aroldis Chapman situation, as far as him skipping.
I don't know. It might be he's been brutal. It might be a godsend.
All right, Chris, who they have an opportunity to close out game one. Who's getting the ball for Aaron Boone? Who's their closer right now?
I had his numbers. I mean, the fact that because he's the word is, unless he was put on the playoff roster, he's not showing up.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I had his numbers. He has a 4.46 ERA. His whip is 1.43. I mean, that's why I'm just asking. Do you really want to put him in a game? I mean,
what's your other option?
He's not a good one. He's been terrible.
Give me a better option that they have.
When's it? Bring me his postseason numbers recently.
Clay Holmes.
But Clay Holmes was like the first 2 months of the season was dominant. 2.5 months. He has not been the same pitcher ever since, right?
They lost one of their relievers too, right? Didn't someone go on the injured list?
Yeah, early on.
So I mean, I don't look. Maybe you move a starter into the bullpen. I don't know what they're going to do. Right? What do you do if you're the Yankees and you're looking for a closer? Look at the okay. You know it's not Garrett Cole or Nestor Cortez, right?
Lou Trevino.
That could be the best option.
I just thought.
I'm not saying no, but what else do you got?
Yeah, not Clay Holmes.
I mean, you look at that bullpen. Okay, Efros. I mean, these are the guys you're looking at right now.
Ooh, how about you throw Domingo Germán down there?
Do you put him back in the bullpen? Okay, then who are your starters? Cole.
Right now, the way Herman finished and the way Chapman's been terrible, Roxy.
But what else do you got? That's the problem.
Would you rather have if I don't have a
Cole, Cortez? Are those your top three starters?
That's what I'm saying, Herman. Would you rather have if nobody's on? If I'm starting a clean inning, would you rather have Herman or a Chapman?
You know who I'd probably go with? How about Jonathan Loaizaga? But I know his ERA is at 4, but I have some confidence in him at least.
What do you got? Did you get me?
Yeah, he's 3-4 with a 2.40 career ERA.
Not career. I want late.
Who's that? Loaizaga?
No, Chapman.
You want his postseason or regular season?
I want postseason.
That's right here.
I mean, do you want Lucas Litke closing games?
Hey, Litke had a nice year. Litke had a nice year.
He did, but
2019 against Houston in the playoffs, he had a 6.75 ERA.
How about moving Jameson Taillon to the bullpen?
Oh, the great Pittsburgh Pirate?
I'm tired of seeing Pirates do well.
Come on. He beat cancer. He can beat anything.
Oh, wow. Hey, no joke, but
that's what we thought about John Lester in the wild card back in 2015. How'd that work out? 2014.
Lou Trevino has thrown the ball well for them.
Lou's been great. I look, that's probably your best option. You're not wrong. But that's the thing is, for all the money the Yankees have invested in this team, you go to the late stages of a playoff game. How confident are you if you're Aaron Boone with that bullpen?
Does Chapman ever throw another pitch for the Yankees?
No. He gone. Yeah. To quote Hawk Harrelson, he gone.
All right, we got to get to the great Tom Hamilton. Give me your 4 winners.
I'm going Guardians.
Yes.
Astros. Braves. I really want to say the Padres, but I'm
do it. Be a man.
Hey, look, I picked the Guardians to beat the Yankees.
Are you going to take the Padres or not? Yes or no?
I can't. As much as I want to take my guy, Bo Mel, history's on the Dodgers side.
Hey, at least you can be a San Jose State Spartans fan and say there's a team in the Bay Area that's a good college football team that you can root for.
Hey, don't bother me. I'm climbing the mountain.
I mean, at least there's one. Because the other programs,
my Golden Bears are 3-2, and they're a 2-touchdown favorite this weekend. Chris, come on,
stink. And by the way, Southern California, look out! USC and UCLA undefeated. UCLA's undefeated for since 2005 or something like that.
They've won 9 in a row back to last season too.
Chip Kelly. I mean, that could be. For years now, watching USC UCLA for the last few years has not met anything at the end of the season. That game could mean something. By the way, Washington State's a good football team.
I got the Cougs this week against the Beavers. I know you'll be locked in on my game.
Do I not have you on one of my iPads?
Always. You show me, you text me the picture. You got it going right there in your studio.
Kennedy, I got you. Even though I had to watch that beatdown that your Cal Bears got, I'm loyal to you. I am loyal.
That was painful to call.
Hey, and don't bring Marcus Arroyo and that crap Vegas to the Bay Area again. Ain't gonna play. And let's see our arch rival Fresno this weekend, my friend. Bring it on.
You're climbing the mountain, Uncle Townie. You're climbing the mountain.
Our special teams continue to be bad, though. It just floors me how bad we are in special teams. And the penalties, it's got to stop.
Well, call my guy. You know how to get a hold of Brent. You can tell him.
We got to get him on. I can't get him on Fresno week. I need him focused, laser.
Right. Okay.
Great stuff. Let's talk next week.
All right. Sounds good, Chris.
What do you got after that? Do you have any more baseball?
No, I'm done with baseball. Now I'm on football.
I still want you in baseball mode.
I'll be watching. Come on.
Playoff
baseball. Let's go.
Talk to you next week.
See you guys.
The voice of the Guardians, Tom Hamilton, next right here on A's Cast Live.
The Coliseum has gone by many names, but none better than the Last Dive Bar. Hi, everyone. Ken Korak here, and my friends at Last Dive Bar are helping us celebrate our longtime home. Last Dive Bar has the most unique merchandise for all Oakland baseball fans. T-shirts, sweatshirts, the Ray Fosse line, and my personal favorite, the lights have taken full effect. Visit their website at lastdivebar.com or follow them on social media at Last Dive Bar. All proceeds are invested back into the A's Community Fund and their affiliated charities. Go to lastdivebar.com. That's lastdivebar.com lastdivebar.com.
Hitting the road with the family. On your way to nonstop adventures. No worries ahead, because you know you can stop at a Chevron station along the way. Get fuel for your car, fuel for your crew. That's Chevron with Techron for unbeatable mileage and snacks for all. Coffee for mom, chips for the kids, cold drinks for dad. You know, for the road ahead. Toss in some laughs, out-of-tune singing, and a zillion "Are we there yet?" And you just made lifelong family memories. Chevron, together ahead.
A swing and a high fly, deep left center field. It is gone. Hello, New York. Oscar Gonzalez sends the Guardians to the division series.
He's a legend in our game because of great calls like that. Tom, congratulations to the Guardians. I got to think that was one of the craziest, best games you've ever called in your life.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, it was incredible. I mean, first off, you kind of forgot, at least I had, that there's no ghost runner in extra innings in the postseason. And, when you've got to go to the bathroom from the 10th inning on, you were kind of wishing there was a ghost runner. So it was, I'm glad, I really like the ghost runner for extra innings in the regular season. So you're not there hours at a time, but I think they did the right thing, just like hockey does. When you get into the playoffs, you go back, to the way it used to be. And in this case, no ghost runner. And, it gave us a classic game and certainly a ball game that was memorable for Tampa Bay and Cleveland fans. I hope the rest of the country felt that way. But you don't get many games that end on a walk-off home run in the postseason. So it was a very special game.
We've been talking about you guys, and I think not only from an A's perspective, but I think everybody who just appreciates baseball the way it's meant to be played, where the game is meant to be played, where it's an exciting brand of baseball, where it's not the three true outcomes of home runs, strikeouts, and walks. That's what the Guardians are. You guys play the game the right way, and we're all rooting for you. I've picked you guys all the way up to take on the Astros in the ALCS in a little pool that we have going. Just talk about this young team. Talk about just what the energy and that they have this it factor about them.
Yeah, you know what? I think you nailed it right there, Chris. None of us can ever explain what the it factor is. None of us can say, I know what it looks like, but they have it. You're right. And they're a ball club that doesn't feel like they're incapable of beating New York. They feel like they've been maybe, I don't want to say looked down upon. That's not the case, but I don't think they have ever felt like people truly bought into what they were capable of doing until they went on this run in September. I mean, on September 5th, going into that ball game, we were tied for first place with Minnesota, 2 games ahead of Chicago, 68-64. Certainly mediocre record at best, and they've gone 26-6 since that time. And in that span, beat Minnesota 7 out of 8 times, beat the White Sox in a 3-game series, sweeping them. So that really gave this club a lot of confidence coming into the postseason. And I had a coach, DeMarlo Hale, our bench coach, Chris, say he thought the way the ball club played after they clinched gave him reason to think that they were going to be in a good shape for the postseason. And again, on September 5th, you're not thinking you're going to clinch with 9 games to go. I mean, that was stunning that it happened that quickly. And then in those 9 ball games, they went 6-3. So they didn't really take their foot off the pedal. And so they got into the playoffs playing, reasonably good baseball. And look, the Tampa series could have gone either way. You win 2-1 and 1-0. You could be talking to Andy Fried or Dave Wills today because Tampa Bay would be here in New York. So I think this club realizes that their margin of error is very slim. And of course, when you play a team with the payroll of the New York Yankees and the kind of lineup that they have, again, you're certainly the underdog, but they don't think they are. They really feel like they can beat this Yankee club, and we'll find out starting tomorrow night.
Well, they said he couldn't hit home runs, and all the runs you scored were off home runs.
I mean, what are the odds of that? 2-1 and 1-0, 2-run homer by Jose, solo homer by Oscar Gonzalez. And so look, I think you're obviously going to have to score more runs to beat New York than Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay and Cleveland are very similar in that they're offensively challenged at times, but incredibly dominant bullpens and starting pitching. With New York, look, there's no way you're holding them to one run in 24 innings, but you're going to have to score a few more runs. But also, let's face it, if it becomes a slugfest, that certainly is going to be bad news for Cleveland.
The interesting thing, though, is we were just talking about it, that they're kind of a thin bullpen. We know the starters don't give you a ton of innings. I mean, the Guardians can make a lot of contact and make pitchers work. There's a recipe there. And if you keep them into the ball, if you keep the Yankees in the ballpark, I don't know how they score.
Well, they really haven't, to your point. And I think Jason Stark had an incredible number since the All-Star break. Aaron Judge, his OPS is double what the rest of the Yankee ball club is. So truly, as much money is spent on this ball club, and look, they have a good ball club, to think Aaron Judge has had to carry this ball club this much this year, to me, is stunning. And the big news here today, Chris, at the workout at Yankee Stadium is, Aroldis Chapman's not on the playoff roster and didn't come to a workout, stayed in Miami. It sounded questionable if he was going to make their roster, but it's hard to envision a Yankee October without Aroldis Chapman.
Does that you're there. I've been talking so much because I've been reading this book about sports psychology, and I've talked a lot about it today on the show, where we get so much into numbers and data, but everything's the computer in your head and how humans deal with adversity and deal with things. It's like putting that kind of bad mojo. Do you feel it around Yankee Stadium, this whole Aroldis Chapman deal?
Well, it sure was the talk of the workout. Let's put it that way. Now, I did not stay for the Yankees workout. I've seen enough batting practice for 1 year. And so I didn't talk to a lot of Yankee people. I talked to some, but, he did not have a very good year. He doesn't come to the workout the other day. He stayed in Miami. So he obviously saw the writing on the wall, and it's almost like he was going to force the issue. We're hearing a lot that they had already made up their mind 2 weeks ago that he wouldn't be on the ball club. So to your point, that's not what you want going into a playoff series. You don't want that unrest. You don't want that to be the story. And you know how it is here. You can imagine what the New York Post is going to look like tomorrow. No. And, they'll be talking more about that than the actual game. I think sometimes I saw some stories, and again, part of it's the New York media. There are a lot of good media people here, but I saw a couple of writers writing about, this is a cute little story and kind of, patting Cleveland on the head and, they'll go away. And it's like, well, Cleveland's got a pretty good history with New York. In my time here, they've met 5 times in the playoffs. Cleveland's eliminated New York twice. New York's eliminated Cleveland 3 times. One of those times, though, was 2020. I don't even consider 2020 a real season or a real postseason because of COVID. So, we'll see. The last time Cleveland eliminated New York, it cost Joe Torre his job. So I guess the way I look at it is, at least I don't look at New York as impossible to beat. I think Houston is far and away the best team we saw this year in the American League, and I would put Seattle right close by. At least when we saw Seattle We saw them at the end of August and the beginning of September. They beat Cleveland 6 out of 7 times. They were all good games, but man, were they impressive. And, we'll see how this goes, but I think this is a better matchup for Cleveland than, say, if they were playing Houston.
And we so appreciate your time there in New York. I'm sure. I hope you got some great dinner reservations for tonight.
You do.
Let's end on this. Terry Francona, the man. I mean, obviously was here in Oakland for 1 year. We know what the baseball mind, what he's done with the Red Sox. I've been actually watching The Last Dance, and he's in there managing Michael Jordan back in the day. But just what makes him so special, where he truly is a great leader of men?
His communication skills, Chris, are second to none. You know where you stand with Tito. He doesn't micromanage his coaches. He lets his coaches coach, and we have a really good coaching staff. And, Tito's not a guy that micromanages, and it's not about Tito. It's always about the players, and players know that. And they know a fraud when they see one. And when a manager talks about it's all about the players, and the players are like, yeah, but why is it always about you? It's never that way with Tito. He's so genuine. He doesn't feel like he's above anybody. And he's a simple guy to play for. Play the game hard, play the game the right way. And Tito never talks about what the club doesn't have or what the club can't do. He talks about what they have and what they can do. And it may be hard, but we can figure out a way to overcome obstacles and find a way to win. And I just think he's an amazing manager from the standpoint. This club set a major league record. It's the only club in the history of postseason baseball that had 17 rookies make their major league debut. Normally, that means you're going to lose 100 games. And yet he's also proven he can win in a big market with a big payroll club with all the egos that are involved with what he had to deal with in Boston. Not many guys that can do what he does. And it starts from day one in spring training. And guys know that, look, I'm never going to play for anybody better than this guy. And they buy in.
On your way out, you're a Big Ten guy in 2024. How much are you looking forward to that classic matchup of like UCLA Rutgers or USC Indiana? That's Big Ten football right there.
I am so disappointed in college sports. I don't know about you folks. I mean, look, I grew up a farm boy in Wisconsin, and it was a big day on New Year's Day where we all gathered around, the 7 of us, to watch the Rose Bowl. And, Wisconsin played in it one time in '63 when I was just a little guy. And they didn't play in it again until, Barry Alvarez 30 years later.
Ron Dane.
Yeah. And I mean, but that was to me the essence of college sports. January 1st, what the bowl games meant, what the conferences meant. I think it's horrific to see what we're doing in college sports. I did Big Ten basketball for 25 years, and finally, after 2016 World Series, decided that was enough. And part of it was, and I'm not begrudging any of these schools, I did not want to go to Rutgers. I did not want to go to Maryland. That wasn't fun for me to have to fight those kind of traffic issues, and it didn't feel the same anymore. And to think that the Pac-10 or the Pac-12 isn't really going to exist the way we always grew up with it. The Big 12, heck, I remember the Southwest Conference, and I just, guys, I don't know what the end game here is. What is it? Only about the college football playoff, and then everybody else can kind of go to hell? I mean, I was lucky enough to have 2 boys play Division I college baseball in the Mid-American Conference. And, Kent State my oldest boy started on the team that went to Omaha in 2012. And along the way, they eliminated Kentucky. They eliminated Oregon. They eliminated Florida in Omaha. And I mean, that was a big deal for a mid-major to do that. we're taking all of that away now. And so I think it's really disheartening that money has done what it's done. This isn't amateur anymore, guys. This is, we all know what it is. So, and I don't know how you coach anymore. How do you coach with, name, image, and likeness? I think the kids deserve to get more, but we've taken it to an absurd level now. Other than that, it's great.
Rutgers UCLA volleyball. Cannot wait for that.
Guys, how does anybody talk out there about
travel?
How do these kids go to the Midwest all the time? There's only one close game, and that's Southern Cal. How are they going to do that?
Well, and to be honest with you, the traffic in LA, it might be longer to get from UCLA to UCLC than it is to get to like Iowa.
Oh man.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're all rooting for you. We love you guys. We hope you get past the Yankees. We're going to be rooting for you. And as we always say, you're one of the legends in our game. And for you to come on our program always means so much. Go enjoy that great dinner in New York City, and good luck to you guys.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you're rooting for us. I don't think the powers that be want New York not. In fact, if we're ahead 3-2, I think they're going to turn it into a best-of-7 series just to make sure New York's got another shot, because they want that television market.
If you guys go to extra innings, they may give the Yankees the ghost runner.
Good call.
Take care, my friend. You be well.
Thanks, guys. I enjoyed it.
Oh, the great Tom Hamilton, one of the best. He is the best. Oh, man. How good was that?
I'm really excited to see UCLA Penn State play in
softball,
men's soccer.
When swimming goes on between Iowa and USC, I'm going to be on that. Well, what network will we? Oh, we'll watch the Big Ten Network.
Yeah.
Do we even get the Big Ten Network on Xfinity?
Well, I don't have Xfinity. I cut cable.
I got the Pac-12. That's right. I have Pac-12 Network. That's where I watch Roxy Bernstein.
That's where you watch.
Let me see if I can.
I watched that UCLA game the other day against Utah. They kicked their ass. Pardon my French, but UCLA looks pretty good this year. And then you got USC playing really well with Caleb Williams at quarterback. It's college football is good this year. San Jose State's 4-1, as we mentioned. I'm going to Fresno on Saturday. I bought tickets. Can't wait for the 3-hour drive there and the 3-hour drive back to.
I refuse to give them. That's my rival, San Jose State. If you don't know Fresno, I refuse to give them my money. Well, I told my kids. I literally told my kids, you go to Fresno, I'm not paying for it. There's a bunch of my buddies. We're like, we told our kids, don't even apply. If you apply, you better find the money for it. I will not pay for you to go to Fresno State.
One of my friends that you know.
Yes, is that small of me? Okay, that's fine. That's small of me. By the way, I'm looking at my Xfinity browser. I do not have the Big Ten Network.
Yeah, I don't know where. I mean, I don't have it on YouTube. I'm pretty sure I don't have it on YouTube TV. I don't even think I had it when I had Sling. So I don't know.
We used to have it.
Like, I don't know who that's like, his SEC network is like an ESPN thing, and I get the ACC network, I think.
Do you?
So I think I can watch Pitt football, even though they're disappointing. So I don't know where you get the Big Ten.
Oh, I got Pac-12. I don't have Big Ten, and we didn't have Pac-12 forever. That debacle.
I don't even, who's the best team in the Big Ten this year for football?
Ohio
Michigan
State.
And Michigan. Michigan's undefeated.
Yeah.
Well, Harbaugh.
Ohio
You know what? Harbs beat Ohio State again. Not whoever they beat last week.
Do not doubt my man Jim Harbaugh. Oakland A's fan Jim Harbaugh.
Actually, Michigan's number 1 in the Big Ten right now. They're ahead of Ohio State in the standings.
Well, no, they're both 3-0.
Well, they both have 2 conference wins.
Yeah, they're both undefeated. They're both ones. Yeah, don't worry.
Hey, well, look
clash of Ohio State, Michigan's coming. Our fan base.
Look who's lurking. Look who's lurking right behind him, though.
Penn State.
Yeah, that won't hold. That won't hold.
That's garbage. I mean, look how many. I mean, there's so many teams now in these conferences. It's literally unbelievable. How about Wisconsin being 0-2?
Nebraska fired Scott Frost, and look where they're at. They're 2-1 now.
Husker pride. Football's good. We got Raiders tonight. Raiders Chiefs. Raiders win tonight. It's not over yet. It's not over yet.
That division's a little I don't know. Brandon Staley got bailed out in that game against Cleveland yesterday, going forward on fourth and 1 on his own side of the field, and they didn't get it, and then Cleveland misses a kick to win the game. So
it's not over yet.
And Denver's a train wreck right now.
Total train. How long is Elway going to get a pass?
How about Russell Wilson? He does not look good.
Well, he's got a shoulder problem.
Of course he does. Just like Baker
Mayfield. Niners.
Baker Mayfield has a high ankle sprain now too. Well, they fired Matt Rule today. First NFL coach gone. Matt Rule fired.
Really?
Yep.
Bye-bye.
He's going back to college football. He's a program builder in college football.
He's a Buck Showalter.
He built Temple.
He's a Buck Showalter.
He might as well be. He's a lot younger. Built Temple, built Baylor to what they were, and then he took the job with the Colts. He's going back. Arizona State needs a coach.
Yes, they do.
Nebraska needs a coach.
Poor Herm Edwards.
Oh, there.
Where would you rather go?
Then Arizona. Why would you not want to go to Arizona State?
Well, years ago, it'd be Nebraska. That's a prime job. Arizona State's not a prime job. But we have no idea what conferences are going to look like. But if you take SC out of it in that South, and now you take UCLA out of it, even though they really haven't been a factor lately, does Arizona State become more of a prime job? Because they do have. Because at least when I'm there for spring training, they seem to love them Sun Devils.
Yeah, the
Valley of the Sun cares about Arizona State.
Most people we work with want Arizona State. Essentially, feels like.
Really?
There's a lot of people we work with in the organization with Arizona State. There's some Arizona people too.
Really?
Yeah.
Who?
Let's see. Our head boss, Catherine Aker, went to Arizona.
I'm not saying Arizona State.
Justin and the Ace Productions went to Arizona State.
I knew there was something wrong with him.
The old Joey Liberatore, our old coworker, he went to Arizona State online.
Old News, who's basically copying us with the Ducks.
Who else went to Arizona State?
Have you seen some of the names he's used? So basically, Joe, the Italian stallion we used to talk about, they're doing what we're doing now with the Anaheim Ducks. He got hired by the Ducks. He's basically replicating A's Cast down with the Ducks, even using names that are based off my old talk show. Oh, we don't doubt it. I mean, cool for him.
Good. I mean, he's only he's like 25 years old. And
he's using our idea, which we're telling you, this is the future. The Anaheim Ducks have basically copied to a T the blueprint of A's Cast.
The Sharks did it a few years ago. I helped them with it, and they don't do a live show like we do, and like the Ducks are going to be doing. But they do a lot of different podcasts, which is cool. As you mentioned, 0-2 to start the year, but Friday starts the real season.
Martin no, it doesn't. They're 0-2.
That wasn't a good showing.
These games count as much as anything. By the way, we had the final. When are we going to get David Forst?
I was going to text him. I didn't want to ask him about today because he's talking today. I'll text and see if he's available sometime this week.
Yeah, to get our final.
Yeah, I asked him last week, but he was unavailable last week. So I told him I'll reach out to him this week. I'll text him later today. I don't think he's a big Raiders fan, so I don't think he's going to be watching the Raider game.
No, he's not a Raiders fan. We asked him that. He's not really a football
guy. Yeah, he's a soccer guy.
Not a football guy. But I think he said I think he did say he was a Niner fan.
Yeah. Yes. I believe.
I think he went just to save himself. He says, "I'm a Niner fan."
Do you want to get to any of the news? I put some news and notes before we.
I want.
We can do the A sound starting in the top of the next hour.
I want to get into that and react to that because in the end, it's like, okay, that was a rough season. 102 losses is a rough season. And that's going to be one of the tough things for our job is to actually entertain every 3 days and get you excited for A's baseball. We need to be excited for A's baseball. What can we be excited about? Like I said, I've had a blueprint about what to do that I think can make the A's competitive. But all right, we'll do that at the top of the hour. Where do you want to go here?
Okay, so we'll just do a couple things quickly. We kind of touched on Rob Thompson getting the 2-year extension to be the official manager.
Congratulations to him.
Yeah, official manager of the Philadelphia Phillies, not the lame duck contract that Phil Nevin got.
The fact that he gets 2 years says we believe in you. You're going to have next year. because immediately if the Angels start losing Phil Nevin, people are gonna be asking about his job, and also a 1-year deal makes him easier to fire.
Yeah, the Phillies went 65 and 46 after they let go of Joe Girardi, so that's pretty good. The other news: Spencer Strider, another Brave, locked up to a 6-year deal worth $75 million. There's also a $22 million club option for 2029 and a $5 million buyout.
It's very interesting, though. Let's not oversell it. The first couple of years are worth nothing.
$1 million next year, $4 million in 2025. Sorry, $1 million next year and the year after, $4 million in 2025, $20 million in 26, $22 million in 27, 28.
So this is basically what they're doing. They're paying guys a very low amount of money. In baseball, it's a low amount of money. The belief that they're going to end up being this good and that down the road they've invested to save money is essentially what they're doing. Instead of saying, all right, let's lowball these guys as long as we can. And then at some point, we're going to have to make this long-term decision on whether we're going to have to pay them or not. It's a completely different business model because this is what everybody does, right? Everybody wants to pay the lowest amount of money they can possibly pay until I finally got to make the decision, pay the man or move on. And move on is normally trade early or you can just let them go to free agency. They are taking an approach of let's pay these guys, let's give them some security, and we're gonna buy out some of their free agent years, there will be a time though that if these guys stay healthy and stay good, that they will have to address that long-term crazy commitment. But right now, they're spending some money to save money later on. Is that a good way to explain it?
Yeah, exactly. And here's the guys they have locked up. Now, remember, they gave Ronald Acuna Jr. the 8 years, $100 million years ago. They gave Ozzie Albies, their second baseman, 5 years, $35 million. They have Matt Olson locked up. They got Austin Riley locked up. So pretty much their entire infield, besides Dansby Swanson, who's a free agent,
they got more than that.
They have Michael Harris II, who they called up this year as a rookie. He's locked up long term.
Yeah, they've locked up. It's like 8 guys.
Yeah, they.
You know what?
I feel like I'm forgetting.
I have it.
I feel like I'm forgetting a starting.
You ready?
Pitcher. Yeah.
Austin Riley through 2033.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Harris II through 2032. Matt Olson through 2030. Spencer Strider 2029. Ronald Acuna Jr. 2028. Vaughn Grissom 2028, Ozzie Albies 2027, William Contreras,
that's right,
2027, Kyle Wright 2026,
who won 20 games this year, I believe. He was
How
like
many guys is that?
That's a 2, 4, 6, 8.
Oh, you didn't count? I thought you were counting on your fingers.
Oh no,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Out of your 26-man roster, you got 9 guys locked up,
and they're all under 30.
Are they all going to be good? Are they all going to stay healthy? You don't know. It's all gambles.
Yeah, Acuna and Ozzie Albies have been hurt this year and last year.
But if you're saying you got guys locked up to the end of the decade, and remember, when you do your books, people forget that we're a business. Like it's a business. So you have an accounting, and then you have people that look at your futures and your earnings. What do you think you're going to earn? You project for years out. They got their new ballpark. They got, your TV commitments. You've got certain corporate commitments that are committed for. So you kind of got an idea of what you're going to make as a franchise, what you're going to get from Major League Baseball, what you're going to get from all the different stuff. And if you have X amount of season ticket holders, you can project your future earnings. And so if you say, we've got these guys locked up, we can afford this because our future earnings, like the A's, I don't know if they really could do that. We have a TV contract that we could look at. I don't know if we can't look at ballpark earnings. We can't look at season ticket holder earnings long term. They've got a good idea, the Braves, of what their futures are going to look like, their future earnings. So they can do something like this. So they're spending money to essentially save money long term. Because if a certain guy like, let's say, Ronald Acuna Jr. ends up having some monster years leading up to his free agency year, he could command $300 million. Well, you got him locked up for $100.
Yeah, over 8.
So that could be saving yourself $200 million.
Yeah. And
that's a good investment.
And the way they've been so people don't.
Austin Riley, who I told you years ago I liked, was a good player.
He had a really good year this year.
I mean,
and they can still bring back Dansby Swanson too.
Austin Riley, he signed for 200 something, but maybe he
212.
could have signed for over 300 million. That saves you 100 million.
I think his deal was like 10 years, 212 or something like that. So 21.2.
And Matt Olson's deal's cheap.
Yeah, for a guy that he's the oldest guy of that group. He's 28. But I mean, if you look at it, the Braves were 100% okay trading away Shea Langoliers and Christian Pache because they knew they had Michael Harris II and William Contreras, who was an all-star.
How do you think they feel about watching Pache right now?
I don't know, their guy in the outfield and the guy playing in center field that could have been him, Michael Harris II, could be the NL Rookie of the Year. I don't think they mind.
I'm just saying, that is going to be. You can't project, and I can't honestly sit here and say, hey, listen, the A's are going to go as Pache goes. Pache to me right now is like an appetizer. Like when I judge a restaurant and I go for a meal, the main course is going to be the star, and dessert can be a big player for you too. Appetizers can be hit or miss. You can love an appetizer. You may not love an appetizer. But in the end, I'm not going to not go back to a restaurant based off an appetizer. If my meal is good. If the main course is solid, I liked it. Appetizer, that's why appetizers change. Right now, going into next season, even though we got a long way to go, Christian Pache is an appetizer. He's not on the main course right now.
Yeah, I mean,
he played himself out of that.
Yeah, I mean, he hit a little better towards the end of the season, but what he did during the middle,
he had a couple
middle,
hits.
It's better than what we saw earlier in the year.
And he didn't go to AAA and went out.
Set the world on fire.
And, made you go, you got to have him back. It was a seriously, so far, you look at the trade, the two guys that are supposed to help you now-ish, Pache and Langoliers. Langoliers, you see a future. Pache's a wild card at best. Compared to what we thought going into the season and how he started and that first 4-game series, how he played down in Tampa to where we are now, Pache is like, man, I don't know what his future is.
Yeah, I'm with you. And, I mean, I know the outfield in the A system isn't as deep as some others, but it's not deep like catcher. But, I mean, you're going to give him a chance still coming up for next year. A couple more things before we get to the A's news, because I just got a notification from ESPN. They were saying that Billy Beane, he mentioned this in his the season end presser, Zoom call with David and Kotz, that he does believe the team will get a ballpark here, and they mentioned how he's going to be here for the long term as long as the team wants him. Mike Matheny out as Royals manager. So that's another vacant managerial job. Remember, Dayton Moore ousted earlier in September.
Well, that came out a few days ago.
Yeah. Let's look at the stuff that happened since we were on the air last. Farhan Zaidi of the Giants says they will do. They're going to try to spend this offseason, but there's a report out that they're eyeing Judge and Trey Turner, and they will do whatever it takes to return to the postseason. Remember, they won 81-81 this year, a 26-game regression from 107 wins last year. I'm so glad this season's over because I'm tired of hearing about how they won 107 games last year. You won 81 games this year. That's not good. The biggest regression I can remember seeing was 2010. The Twins won 94 games. And then in 2011, they won 63 games. That was a 31-game regression. Brian Cashman said there's a pot of gold there for Aaron Judge when the contract negotiations come around.
You mean it for the Mets?
Well, what if him and DeGrom switch places? He goes to the Mets, DeGrom goes to the Yankees.
I don't think and I'll say this on October 10th, I don't think DeGrom's star is as great as you guys think it is. I just don't.
I'll mark that.
Mark that. I don't see what gives you the body of evidence, his age, what he gives you, that there's going to be a team that's going to go, man, he's 35 next year.
35, yeah.
He gives you your two biggest series when you needed him most in Atlanta and against the Padres in the postseason. He gives you 6 innings, and it's time to move on. I mean, are you going to break the bank for a guy that you're not even sure can give you 30 starts, stay healthy for 30 starts, and then when he is healthy, he's giving you 6 at the most? Is that really that valuable? Is there really going to be a team that's going to say 6 innings, not 30 starts a year, 35 years old, I got to have me that for buco bucks?
I think there will be a team that'll give him money, yes.
That's not what I asked. That's not what I asked.
I think a team.
Obviously, somebody has to give him money to
I
perform.
think there are teams out there that'll value what he does.
What kind of value?
But
you're giving me generic. I have no idea what
they
value
don't.
means.
If he gives them 6 innings, great. I mean, they don't care. They know how great his numbers are, and he's been good in the postseason. His ERA under 3 in the postseason.
Oh, for 5-6 innings,
still has an ERA under 3.
Great. His team's going home again. How did his team do in Atlanta?
Not great.
Yeah,
they got swept.
Mm-hmm. And how does his team do against Padres?
They won home. But he gave him 6 and 3 runs. That's what we call a quality start still. Until we change that, he did his job.
But that's not all world. That's not what you pay an ace. That's not what you would say an ace does in the big moments.
Ask Max Scherzer how that worked out this year. You paid him $130 million.
You can't discuss. You just can't discuss him and be honest. You cannot. You're going to sit here and now brag about a quality start, not a great start, a quality start, a stat you don't even like.
I still got more out of him than you got out of Max Scherzer.
What is that? I'm not. Are we?
Because I'm comparing because you said about Scherzer. Is DeGrom worth the money? Well,
So
Scherzer got paid based on what he can do in the postseason. He went out
what
and laid
he's
an
done
egg.
in the past,
and he went out and laid an egg when they needed the most.
You're going to give me basically 0. You're giving me what? 2000 was the last time he was in the postseason? 2015.
The year they went to the World Series.
Is that 15?
I believe
14, 15.
Yeah.
Had to be 15 because the Giants played in 14.
Oh no, they were in the Walker game in 16, but I don't think he started that game. Did Harvey start that game? I don't remember who started that game for them. That was the last time they were in the postseason, I believe. DeGrom's last postseason start before that was World Series 2015.
So I got 15 and 22. That's what I got. Now, to be fair to Max Scherzer, I have a really long track history, and Max Scherzer's old. I didn't give him the money. I didn't say, but to be fair, Max Scherzer does have a long track record, multiple franchises in the postseason.
So it's like Verlander, same thing.
I got 15 and I got 22, and the best I got from this dude is 6 innings. And you're at 35 years old. I mean, I know, but you know what? I'm not the only one anymore, as literally the Mets fans are now ripping his ass and saying he's not as valuable as everybody says he is. It's just not me anymore. I maybe was on the crusade of telling all you guys, this dude's overrated. I said it. Yeah, and I'll say it again. And you know who agreed with me? Dave Stewart. Dave Stewart and I had a conversation about it. And Dave says, I don't know what all the hoopla is. He just strikes out a bunch of guys for 5 or 6 innings, and that's it. And then the rest of the game is on everybody else. The guy literally every 5 days plays in a very small percentage of a body of work for 5 days. That, to me, if we're talking value as a business, when I get very little for 5 days out of what he gives me, I mean, is he going to give me 30 starts? What's he going to give me? What am I going to pay for?
You most likely probably will give you 30. I mean, going forward now.
Am I going to get 200 innings?
Probably not. Probably.
Am I going to get 30 starts?
Probably not.
I just watched non-dominance in the postseason.
I still think that he's going to get money. So there's going to be a team that values.
Oh, he's going to get money.
There's a team that's going to.
Teams are stupid. Teams are stupid. You're going to overpay a guy. I don't know for what. Joe Musgrove went out and played better than you did in your home stadium. Joe Musgrove.
He was good. He was
went
great.
out and shoved.
7 innings of 1 hit.
Shoved. You had a bunch of dudes yesterday. You had how many guys went 7 innings?
In the postseason so far, 5. There was only 4 of last year.
I mean, if that's what you're gonna build your team around, is I'm gonna throw. You gonna pay him over $30 million?
I wouldn't because of his age, but the team probably will. I mean, how much? I mean, it's.
Hey, listen. Hey, Baker Mayfield starting in the NFL. Nothing surprises me. He sucks. I mean, people make bad decisions. That's why people get fired.
Yeah, Matt Rule's gone.
But I'm telling you right now, you if you're gonna try and sell me on DeGrom's this, I'm telling. I went back and we'll do it. Well, later on when I'm going to totally go through his Cy Young Award, and you're going to see, well, oh, it's not his fault he lost. Look, his losses are 4 and 5 inning starts. There's not a whole lot. The second year he won the Cy Young Award, he had 1 7-inning loss. One. And you guys have, and that's where C.J. Nikowski said it best. We all know our players and our teams best. And a lot of people, we cover our teams, and then we vote on these awards with not watching or really knowing. At the end of the year, we look at numbers. But when you really look at his second Cy Young, the only thing he did is he led the league in strikeouts.
He's always been a high strikeout guy, though.
He's got a ton of 6 and 5 innings. It's like Dylan Cease is another example this year. Half of his starts went 6 innings or less. Or not even 6 innings.
Yeah.
And people are talking about him as a Cy Young Award. So I'm like, if a guy gives you 5 innings every 5 days, how valuable is he? If I can make the case for Ohtani, doesn't play defense, and the fact that he only plays in basically a half inning, so if he bats 4 times a game, there's 7 innings a night he does not participate in the game. Every single game other than when he pitches.
Yeah.
How valuable, you got to start thinking about innings, value, what a guy gives you. How valuable is a pitcher who pitches 5 or 6 innings every 5 days? There's 45. Was it? How many innings is that? 9 times 7?
9 times 7 is 63.
63. I got 63 innings, and he's only pitching in 5, 6. That's worth how much? And you keep projecting that you're saving him for the biggest games. That's what you've sold and other people have sold. Well, I got to save him. Well, you saved him, and he still only gave you 6 in Atlanta, and he still only gave you 6 at home in the playoffs. And you saved him for all those years for what?
I sold him short of 6 innings, 2 runs. I said 3 against the Padres. He had 8 strikeouts. How many pitches did he throw? I didn't even look at how many pitches he threw in the game. I'd have to go back and look. But I think it was like 99 pitches maybe he threw in the game.
Can't go 112, 115. Can't give you another inning. 6 and got to get out.
See, I'm with you on that, but I'm also on the side of there's teams that won't let guys go past 6 innings, or they won't let them go past a certain.
Everybody else was doing it in the postseason. I'll give you maybe May, but I'm telling you.
If it won't come out, but if it came out that
I was right, 45. It's 45 innings in 5 days span, 9 innings. I was like, what am I? It's 45. When you're only giving me 5 out of the 45, folks, that's 45 innings, and you're only playing 5 of those 45. How valuable can you be? Even if you're 6, how valuable can you really be to the overall thing?
He threw 99 pitches on Saturday.
Because once again, if you're only throwing 5 or 6 innings out of 45, and with the premise that I'm saving you for when it matters, right? Isn't that what you're saying? Isn't that what kind of the sales job is when you hold guys back? This guy can't go deeper because you're saving him for something.
Yeah, and I think what kills him a lot too, and no one really wants to address it, and I think it'll be fascinating next year with the pitch clock. He's a grip in and rip a guy. Like literally, he throws like 30 pitches of 100 miles an hour every start. Well, no wonder he can't go longer than 6 innings because he's trying to throw as hard as he can every single pitch. And I want to see how that changes a lot of guys' mentality. He's going to be one of the guys I
agree.
watch.
I'll agree with you on that
because he throws I forget how many pitches he threw over 100 miles. I mean, I could pull it up, but it would take me a second. But how many times he threw over 100 miles an hour in that playoff game?
Will you give me this? Dude's been babied this whole time.
Oh, I agree, 100%.
What have you gotten out of that? What have the Mets gotten out of DeGrom by babying him all this time?
1 World Series berth. That's about it. I think 2 Cy Youngs.
But no, they didn't get that.
Well, I mean,
that's an individual award.
Yeah.
What do you get as an organization babying this guy? And in the end, what have you got? What did you get from this product? What you paid for it? What did you get for it?
You got, like I said, a World Series.
I mean, we had an intern that like literally would fight me on this, and he was trying to tell me that DeGrom's a Hall of Famer. Do you still think he's a Hall of Famer?
No.
You think this is Hall of Fame volume?
I thought if he had a couple more years of the numbers he put up, he would be in consideration. But I mean, he's not going to get 30 starts most likely. Plus, he's 34. So how much longer is he really going to pitch? Throwing that hard every single night. Now next year could change his career forever. He could be a guy that goes 7 innings every start because he's not throwing 100 on every single pitch. His average fastball velocity this year, and we promised we'd get to the A's news before we get to Martine. His average fastball velocity, I switched on his game log. Give me a second, sorry. I'm trying to see if I could find how many pitches he threw over 100 miles an hour in that game on Saturday. DeGrom's average pitch velocity on 4-seam fastball this year was 99 miles an hour. I mean, he's just throwing as hard as he can every time he throws a fastball.
Hey, throw 97 and give me 7 or 8.
What made Justin Verlander so great with with Detroit when he was younger? He would start the game throwing 96, 97. In the 8th inning, he's throwing 100 because he knew how to pace himself.
What inning?
The 8th. Yeah, well, Verlander's he's a freak. I mean, let's be honest.
But here it gets back to that old wins don't matter. All the guys that are in the Hall of Fame pitched 100 innings. I mean, pitched a ton of innings. What happens when you pitch a ton of innings? You factor in the games. That's how these guys have all these wins. They didn't luck of the draw. It wasn't a crapshoot how they got all these wins. I mean, you got all these wins because you factor in the games because you pitch long in games. Guys who don't pitch long in games don't factor. And you know what? They have a better chance of factoring on the bad side than the good side because you lose control once you leave the game. You leave it to lesser pitchers.
Yeah.
And the question has been, we save these guys. That's my whole thing that you want to fight with these front office people about. Well, you saved them for what?
Yeah.
What did you save him for? You saved him and you took him out of games and you didn't give him extra workload and you did all that to blow his ass out in the postseason. And what do? 6 innings and they take him out. I would have thrown him 120-something pitches. That's why I supposedly saved him during the regular season.
Not only did he go 6 innings, you had to bring your closer in to pitch the 7th.
When he's still throwing 100 miles, was he still not throwing 100 miles an hour?
Yes, he was.
That's what I don't get. I don't get why you save him. What is all this you saving him for? And then your answer is, I don't know, because it wasn't the postseason. What are you saving him for?
I mean, he's 34 years old. It's not like he's 21. I mean, I know he's coming off an injury, but that was back in July.
He's a free agent.
No. He can opt out of his contract.
Okay, he's going to opt out of his contract. What are you saving him for? Yeah. Somebody else?
The Braves. I feel like the Braves are going to be the team. Them or the Yankees are going to make a big run up. There was a list. I think Mark Feinstein had a list, and it was like most likely or how do you put it? For I have it right here. He put Mets, Dodgers, Padres, Giants, Yankees, Braves, Orioles from most likely to least likely. So most likely he says the Mets, then the Dodgers apparently, Padres, the Giants, Yankees, Braves, and then least likely the Orioles, who apparently want to spend, but are they going to spend that kind of money on him?
Are you only making your team really better by name?
They bring stars.
Are you really only making your? I mean, how are you truly making your? If you're saying, I'm trying to win a World Series, this is the money I have to invest. Is it a smart investment? To me, he's a risky investment, if that.
Yeah. I agree with that.
He's a risky investment who, by the way, when the time comes, because what you're going to do, you're going to fall into the same trap the Mets did. You saved him for all this, and when the time comes, what do you get? Unless you're saying, listen, man, I'm going to let you know when time comes, you're throwing 8 innings.
He has to go to a team, in my opinion, for the way he pitches. If he keeps throwing the way he does, he needs to go to a team that has a deep bullpen that can, like a team like Tampa, a team like the Dodgers, a team that can bail him and the team out when he only goes 5 or 6 innings because he's max velocity the whole time.
Yeah, because I mean, if there's any traffic and that pitch count goes up, it's panic button. Panic. It's panic because there's going to be a ton of strikeouts. If there's some walks, there's some hits. It's panic button. Dude's out 5 2/3, and you just said I spent $35 million on it.
Yeah, at least probably.
All right, let's get to some A's cuts. Here's earlier today. But you want to just go down the line?
Oh, we can, yeah. The first one's Billy Beane was asked about the 100-loss season, and this was his first one he's ever experienced with the A's.
There's definitely some growing pains, that's for sure. I mean, nobody wants to lose 100 games. Certainly myself, David, and Mark. It's the first one I've been a part of in this position, so that's disappointing. That being said, you know, we started with some headwinds going into the season at a lot of levels. I think the offseason also, you know, if you're going, you know, we've been in rebuild situations before. This one was very, very unique in a sense that, you know, with the labor stoppage that we had during the winter, once the season started up, or at least the offseason started up again, it was really sort of from a fire hose in terms of, you know, we moved players, but also getting players in. And so we did lose a lot of the offseason in terms of, you know, how we were going to, you know, construct a team that was in the process of rebuilding. But the short answer is yeah, I mean, listen, this was at times not a lot of fun. There were some moments that were satisfying, but I think we learned a lot, but also realized we've got a lot more to learn and long ways to go before we get to the level we want to be.
There was another one, another cut. This one's from David Force was asked about finding the next core with Chapman and Olsen, and hopefully you can find that with the guys I have here. So here's what David Force had to say about that.
I think that's our hope always to have a group like that, you know, from a timing standpoint, comes up together that has some success in the minor leagues. Obviously, the group that you mentioned, you know, Ole, Chapman, Pinder, you know, for a little while, Daniel Robertson was obviously part of that group. Murph came just a little bit behind them. I mean, that's a great formula for the major league team to have success, to have all those guys come up together. But I think we were very, very excited about the development of a number of guys in that same mold this year. And certainly we've always said once guys get to AA, you have a real sense of what they might be, or what their time frame might be for getting here. And when you look at Tyler, who you mentioned, along with, you know, with Geloff and, you know, some of the pitching that was a AA and Ginn and Cusick and Mason Miller, and Max Muncy coming behind him. I think there's a group now, Melissa, that you hope sort of creates that same environment, but that will be, you know, that will be part of our discussion this offseason, make sure we evaluate what we have in the system.
So good to know. I mean, that they're happy with, you know, the trend, the progression. You know, one name we haven't heard a lot of, and when they talk about the future, Gunnar Hoagland's name has been mentioned too much. I know he had kind of a very down year with the injuries and stuff this year, but every time we talk about the pitchers in the minor leagues, you hear about Cusick, Mason Miller, as David mentioned. You never hear about Gunnar Hoagland. So hopefully he has a better year next year. He was one of the, I mean, Kevin Smith had a down year, maybe, and Kirby Snead did. Maybe he's the centerpiece of that deal you got in the deal with Matt Chapman. So hopefully that helps he bounces back next year for the A's. David Force also talked about the roster and what they're looking for going into free agency.
I think we're going to take a look at everything, Matt. I mean, again, as mentioned before, I think there are individuals who made progress and who've sort of given us a glimpse of who they are. I mean, if you had to pick out something, obviously behind the plate with Murphy and Langeliers at the end of the season, you feel really good about that spot. Additionally, with Tyler coming and with the year that McCann had, I mean, you feel good about the depth at that position specifically. But we saw some progress from starting pitching. We saw the infielders, you know, make some progress. You know, a guy like Seth Brown sort of takes a step forward in the outfield. So But I think we'll take a look at everything on the roster at this point.
Seth Brown did have a good year, 25 home runs at age 30. I mean, I know you're looking for someone to be a little younger, but he became more of a leader, and that's what you're looking for a team that had a lot of towards the end of the year, had a lot of young players.
Yeah, I mean, Seth Brown, he's got to, I mean, he's 30. When does he turn 31? I mean, he's at an age to where, okay, we know Pop is there. You're on a team that July, he turns 31 in July.
Yep.
Yeah, he's going to be 31 next year. You got to start making contact. And he did that really the last month and a half of the season. He started making contact. And then all of a sudden, what happened? What happens when you start making contact and you start getting hits?
Strikeouts go down.
All your numbers start getting
better.
Yeah. And that's what needs to happen, because if you're going to be a 230 or less guy that just pops 20-something out, I don't know how valuable you really are for a team like this. Now, he started hitting. He drove in, 75, 74?
Yeah, somewhere in the 70s, yeah.
But, I mean, and he was versatile. So it's like, right now he's a cheap, versatile option. But you want to be a legit player, 73.
Yeah.
So if you want to be a legit player, you've got to hit 260. You got to hit over 20. You got to be able to play right, first, DH, maybe. I mean, center fielder, he's not very good. But if you have to, you have to. But you got to make some contact, because this team couldn't hit. This team couldn't score. This team's got to can't have everybody in the lineup can't be hitting under 230. Just can't happen. Or you're going to have the same kind of year.
Yeah, a positive on him, like besides the home runs and RBI, if you look at this number, which we do sometimes, OPS plus, he was above average.
Barely.
True. His OPS was 749. I believe league average is like 750 or 770.
I mean, if you're over 700, but yeah, I mean, okay. But seriously, hitting 230, he got hot and hit 230.
Yeah.
Hot. He was hitting like 300. I want to say it might have been 297 in the end for the last month. He had to get hot to hit 230. Can you really be that productive at 20 home runs hitting 220?
Most like on a team that's rebuilding, no. I mean, a good team, yeah, you're probably a better asset. But on a team that's rebuilding, you probably want to hit a little better than that. I agree.
mean, you can't have a bunch of guys hitting 213, 220. Just can't do it. Okay, up next, we'll have Martin Gallegos from MLB.com. What did he learn? What are his biggest questions? And what are some of the answers for next season? We'll talk to Martin next right here on A's Cast Live.
The Coliseum has gone by many names, but none better than the Last Dive Bar. Hi, everyone. Ken Korak here, and my friends at Last Dive Bar are helping us celebrate our longtime home. Last Dive Bar has the most unique merchandise for all Oakland baseball fans. T-shirts, sweatshirts, the Ray Fosse line, and my personal favorite, the lights have taken full effect. Visit their website at lastdivebar.com or follow them on social media at Last Dive Bar. All proceeds are invested back into the A's Community Fund and their affiliated charities. Go to lastdivebar.com. That's lastdivebar.com.
The Eno Sarah Show is sponsored by Fieldwork Brewing Company. With 8 taproom locations in Northern California, Fieldwork brings you fresh craft beer direct from the source. Fieldwork will also ship beer direct to your door if you live in California. Visit fieldworkbrewing.com.
Humanity has accomplished a whole lot so far. We created penicillin, the automobile, and the internet, not to mention drones, duct tape, and the hot dog. It's all thanks to the power of human connections. And Ring Central's here to make that even easier, more seamlessly and securely, on a platform built to grow your business. Say hello to a whole new way to say hello. Visit ringcentral.com and say hello to possibilities. Ring Central. Message, video, phone, together.
Some things just go together. Peanut butter and jelly, cookies and milk, Oakland and Kaiser Permanente. If that last one caught you off guard, it shouldn't, because Kaiser Permanente has been helping keep Oakland healthy since our very beginning. And as the official healthcare partner of the Oakland A's, that won't be changing anytime soon. Whatever you may need, you can trust Kaiser Permanente to help keep you feeling your best. Kaiser Permanente. Thrive. Visit kp.org today.
Coming in at 5'3", it's number one mom. She switched to Xfinity and got the all-new 3-for-1 bundle. Unlimited internet, streaming, and Xfinity Mobile. All for what you could pay wireless companies for just one 5G unlimited line. Boom shakalaka! Go to Xfinity.com/3-for-1, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store today. Limited time offer, restrictions apply. Xfinity Mobile requires post-pay Xfinity internet. After 24 months, regular rates apply to all services and devices.
This is Chris Townsend for the Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek. Great news! Our indoor dining is back, along with our beautiful patio dining. Come taste our world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 83 years. The Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek has one of the most dynamic menus, plus a full bar. Pot pies, gourmet burgers, sandwiches, salads, flatbreads, and more. Don't forget, we still do takeout and delivery. For all the information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
Unlock offers and receive exclusive in-game features by downloading the MLB Ballpark app for iPhone and Android today. Plus, get the latest information on game times, schedules, and more.
When Northern California businesses need some pop in their lineup, they call the bank rooted in the East Bay, Mechanics Bank. Since 1905, Mechanics Bank has been helping Bay Area and Northern California businesses find success and perform at the top of their game. See how they can make a difference in your business today. Call or stop by your local branch or visit mechanicsbank.com. Mechanics Bank, the official East Bay bank of the Oakland A's. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is a national brand with family-owned prices and service. You can shop at one of their Bay Area locations, and all stores are sanitized and safe, or you can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. That's nestbedding.com. Green and Gold fans, use the coupon code Oakland and you'll get 10% off your entire order. Nest Bedding, love where you sleep.
A's Cast Live continues from the town. Here's Chris Townsend.
Well, now joining us here on A's Cast Live, our buddy Martin Gallegos from MLB.com. How are you today?
What's up, Tony? I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. What have you been doing since the season ended?
Not a whole lot. It feels like it just happened yesterday, the whole last game of the season thing and everything. The playoffs have been going on, so I've been keeping up with that a little bit. And then today we had a kind of end-of-year talk with David Forrest, Billy Beane, and Kotsay and them. So still kind of in in A's baseball mode. It doesn't really feel like the offseason yet. I'm sure after the playoffs it'll feel like that a little bit more.
We've played some of the sound from the press conference. Did you learn anything from it?
I don't know if I learned anything new. I think one few things are clear. I think if anybody had any doubts about Mark Kotsay, as being manager here, I think Billy and David both kind of, just both let it be known that they were pleased with the job that he did. Obviously, coming into a tough situation this year, they knew the roster that they were giving him wasn't very favorable spot, but. I think they both like the job that he did, and I think there's optimism about him going forward as the leader of this team for years that are going to be probably even younger with more younger guys coming up and prospects coming up. They feel like he's the right guy. So I think that was something that I kind of noted there was the kind of the doubling down on Kotsay and the job that he did this year through everything that they encountered that the A's went through.
Where are we with contracts with Beane and Force, and because they're talking about their futures?
Well, it sounds like Billy has no plans of going anywhere. I know that's always kind of been every year for the last few years is he going to go somewhere else? Is there other things outside of baseball even that could possibly come up? But, he was asked about that, and it sounds like he has no plans of going anywhere. He's going to stick around. He may be still, involved in other, soccer ventures or something like that. But as far as his time with the A's, he basically said he doesn't see himself not being a part of the organization anytime soon. And David, I think, he's here as well. I don't think he sees himself going anywhere. I think, they both plan to be part of this rebuild and kind of want to see the end of it and see the end of the tunnel when the A's are back into contention again once once they get back to, those winning ways.
When you start thinking about those winning ways, there is something to be said about, okay, you're going to have to go through a retool, rebuild, whatever you want to call it, but to have to do it coming out of a lockout where you don't have a lot of time to make a lot of moves. Do you see a big difference in this team next year just because of that?
Yeah, and then they talked about that as well. I think definitely, the lockout impacting things. It certainly didn't help. A team that was, they were going to rebuild no matter what. They were going to make the trades no matter what. But the fact that, they weren't able to do it earlier, they basically had to go through a 6-day span of getting rid of everybody, and at the same time trying to fill out a roster with, minor league signings and stuff like that. It was just hard, to really, make decisions that they could feel probably really comfortable about. Whereas now, you get into more of a normal off season. You kind of can lay out a little bit more of a blueprint, a plan for how you want to attack the off season. I don't think they're going to go out and make any big moves. I don't think any of us expect that, but at least they can kind of set, a little bit more of, a list of players maybe that they think are attainable, whether it's through trade or free agency, maybe guys they could bring in on a minor league deal. They have more time to kind of assess the situation and, kind of make more decisions that they feel a little bit more comfortable about. So I think definitely having a full offseason, normal offseason for the first time in 2 years or so, I think that's going to be definitely a little bit more, it gives them a little bit more time to maybe field an even more competitive team. Whereas last year they were kind of, at times just kind of throwing darts and really weren't too comfortable about some of the guys that they were trying to get out to bring in here.
In a season like we just had, can you really evaluate Mark Kotsay? Is that a fair question?
I think you can, in the way that he handled the clubhouse and the way that he, handled certain decisions. I mean, I know obviously nowadays, managers aren't making the same type of decisions they were years ago, but certainly in the way that he handles, a staff and the way he handles players. And I think in those aspects, it seems like everybody was pleased with the job that he did. It seems like he did a good job of, keeping a good, culture in that clubhouse, and never at any point in the season ever got to a point where he really needed like a closed door meeting about guys, not giving it their all or anything like that. It seems like he had guys' spirits up all the time. And even with, what was it, 64 players or whatever that came up, they all bought in to what he was selling, even though it was a tough year. He didn't at once have to, blow up on the guys and go in there and have to, basically beg them to go out there and play hard. They did it all on their own. I think that was set in spring training. So I think there are certain things that you could evaluate him on. The wins and losses, obviously not, I don't think, because I mean, he was dealt the hand that he was dealt in that aspect. But the other things, I think he gets, really good remarks for what he was able to do in those areas.
Yeah, I love Mark Kotsay. I always have. To be fair, which we have to be, it's tough to say, he got a bunch of young guys to play hard, and he said he was going to make that happen, right? And then the older players got shown the door, but guys played hard. But it's still tough to evaluate from a standpoint of whether we're talking about managing or all the coaches. It's kind of tough to evaluate what works and what doesn't when basically the only positive is we got people to play hard, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. There's still, I mean, the whole evaluation will be, what happens, the next year or two, that part of it will I think is still ongoing. But I think early on, I think the returns are promising in terms of what they were expecting out of them and what they've gotten. And now, it will get to a point, obviously at some point where the expectations rise a little bit and he'll be judged a little bit more on those moves, moves that he makes, in-game moves. Those will be a little bit more highlighted. But to this point, I think overall, I think the view of what they saw in year one out of him as a manager, as a rookie manager, I think the overall view is a positive one for them.
The Oakland A's have to do some stuff here this offseason if they're going to compete. I'm not saying winning record. I'm not saying wild card. I'm not saying division. They didn't compete this year. They were not competitive. So for them to be competitive, in your mind, what has to change on the roster?
I think they have a good, foundation in the bullpen. I think that's one thing that they've identified this year. Really came out of nowhere. I mean, I thought the bullpen was going to be probably one of their worst, aspects of their team just based on how many people they lost last year. But the amount of guys that they found early on and throughout the year who are now going to be pieces going into next year, you feel like you have a good spot there in your options for the late innings. Not necessarily have one specific closer, but you have a lot of guys who have experience now pitching in the late innings. So I think the bullpen, if you can maintain a good bullpen and have those guys gain more experience, that's a positive. Starting pitching, I know it was up and down all year, but they've got some promising arms in there. Obviously, their offense and defense. The defense was a problem all year. It seems like they've got a couple of really good fielders, like Nick Allen and out in center with Pache and stuff like that. But I think defensively, playing clean, sound baseball, that's something that Kotsay always kind of talked about throughout the years. They didn't do that enough, and then that, especially for a team that's not high as talent wise as other teams, you got to play clean baseball. So I think defensively is something where they need to improve, and then hitting. I mean, we all saw the numbers, at the end of the year. The hitting, overall throughout the year was not good. They had one of the worst offenses in baseball. So they got to find a source of production. And I think in terms of getting more competitive towards next year, you hope that some of these guys who got called up this year, like Shea Langoliers, Nick Allen, Jordan Diaz, some of these guys take that next step next year, have their full year under their belt. And along with other guys like Tyler Soderstrom and Zach Geloff who finished the year at AAA, you hope that those guys can come up at some point, whether it's the second half, and kind of start building something here. A core group of guys like we saw a few years back with Chapman, Olsen, Pinder, all these guys who came up. See these guys who have won together in the minors kind of start to mesh at the big league level, and if you can kind of develop that core next year, I think that's what it's all about for next year. Taking a step forward, being more competitive, winning more games than this year, but more importantly, I think finding that core group of players, core group of young guys, out of those prospects that you have down there, and hope that some of them evolve into players who you can count on for the next few years to lead that next playoff group here in Oakland.
Yeah, if someone said, listen, you're going to get a bunch of starts from Cole Irvin, Paul Blackburn, James Caprillion, Waldachuk, Sears, bullpen is reliable, and these young players come up and they hit a bit and give you some offense, there's a recipe there, right? There is a recipe there for how they could be competitive. I think there's no question. It's going to start with the starting pitching. If you can get a bunch of starts from these guys and they compete, and because some of these offensive guys will hit, some of them will come up and produce. Jordan Diaz. There is a way to say I can give you something competitive to watch next year.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like definitely in the second or the last month of the season, the final few weeks, they had that stretch where they faced, like all-star pitchers that whole homestand, the Mariners and Mets, and this offense, they rose up to the challenge. They didn't win every game, but it seems like against every starter that week, they were going up there and being competitive, putting together competitive at bats. And I think definitely the experience, even if the numbers don't show it, a lot of these guys, the experience that they've gotten this year, it's going to help a lot next year. Once they come into spring training and into the regular season, a little bit more confidence knowing that they've faced a lot of these, big league pitchers. They always talk about it all the time. It's different up here. These pitchers know what they're doing. There's no easy night, for a hitter up here. It's always going to be difficult. So they've kind of learned that firsthand, and now going forward to next year, they're going to be a lot better for it. So I definitely could see a scenario where the offense is better just because of all these young guys are going to be around for the whole season. But yeah, I mean, pitching is always the most important thing for any team, and it seems like there's a promising view of this pitching staff, with the starters and the relievers, just based on what they provided this year, especially towards the second half.
Yeah, that's what I say the big story was from Wednesday, and I know it's going to be Stephen Vogt hitting a home run his last at bat, and that was great, and his kids, that was all special. But Waldachuk going 7 shutout innings and shoving against Shohei Ohtani just kind of it shows you what the future could be. And I think about Soderstrom, Tyler Soderstrom, he's a prodigy. And he's the type of guy that I hope, and we know every single team, we don't, their free agency clock, we don't deal with that, wink, wink. But if they don't mess around with that, when he is ready, because he's hit at every level. We saw that now with Jordan Diaz. Soderstrom could be a guy that comes up and really could change things for the A's. Do you see that happening next year?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the way they've moved him up aggressively. I mean, they're clearly not afraid to expose him to a new level if they feel comfortable with his hitting ability. And really, I mean, if he came up now, if he would have came up, in September, I feel like he would have held his own against Major League pitching. He's that special with the bat. It's all just about finding, is he going to be a catcher full time? Is he going to play first base? I feel like now with so many catchers in the organization, especially now that they drafted Susak as well, and they've got guys like Kyle McCann, obviously Murphy and Langeliers at the big league level. You don't need him to catch all the time. I think maybe they keep that option, that skill open, but maybe you move him to first base and you could really get the most out of his bat. I feel like keeping him off his knees for so long. But I mean, every spring training the last couple of years, we've seen him with, he mingles around with the big league hitters and he goes into their batting practice groups, and it's just incredible to watch. I mean, it's definitely a different sound off his bat. I think he's going to be a really special player offensively. He could, be one of the best hitters in baseball. I think, over time, he's so young and he's so advanced for his age that, I think if you're looking for excitement, I think whenever he comes up, I think that's going to be really exciting. And I think, like I said, I think it could be next year because he's finished the year at AAA. You got to think if he starts next year at AAA, has a good first half, maybe we see kind of like the Shea Langeliers route where you see him come up in August and kind of integrating with this team. And then maybe guys like Geloff follow and stuff like that. But Soderstrom obviously at the top of that list, being their top prospect in the organization, one of the top prospects in baseball by multiple outlets.
What needs to happen with Christian Pache this offseason to make him relevant next year?
I think you just got to get it figured out with the bat. And I know it's obviously still a huge concern. The numbers were not great, and it seems like he took that stint down to AAA, and he was trying to work on some things. He came back up and didn't really get a whole lot of playing time. So it's hard to judge, if there were any adjustments that he made once he came back. But entering a full, spring training, with the A's, I think the offensive side is obviously a major work in progress. I mean, the A's don't need him to hit 300. I mean, his defense is so great. I mean, he could win multiple gold gloves over his career. Just they need him to hit a little bit more. I mean, you can't be hitting 150, 130 at the major league level, with that many at bats. It's just you can't put that out there every day. But if he could, just work on he's got some foundation there where he hits the ball hard, but it just seems like he hits it on the ground so often. I mean, if he could find an approach, kind of like a Nick Allen approach, the way he was able to kind of carve out, his own ability to just go the other way consistently, and just stick to that approach and not try to hit homers. Even if you're hitting just 240, 250 at the most, with that defense, that's more than enough. You're going to be, a positive WAR player by a lot, by all the runs you're saving on defense. So they just need, decent stuff at the plate because his glove is just so special. And I think that's going to be obviously a big storyline going to next year is can Pache, hit enough to man down that spot every day. I think the A's are still, from everyone I've talked to with the front office and the coaches, they're still high on him. They still feel like he's their center fielder of the future, but he's got to get that offense part of his game going a little bit more.
All right, so we're all going to be down in San Diego for the winter meetings. A's Cast is going to take you out to dinner for all the things that you've done for us. Cody will pick up the tab, but we will take you, Mark. It's the offer's there. We're taking you to dinner in San Diego.
I would love to.
Okay.
Love to hang out with you guys.
So we'll take you to dinner, and then we're going to leave San Diego. When we leave San Diego, is Sean Murphy still in Oakland A?
I think so. I think they're going to start out the year with the Murphy Langeliers combo, and it's going to be one of the better combos in baseball. Does he last the whole year? I think that's another question. Maybe you get to the trade deadline, and the A's are again going through a year where they're not in contention, and Sean Murphy has a great first half. Then you could get a whole lot for him. But I think they'll stand pat. That's my feeling based on what I'm thinking. I think he sticks the year to begin the year in Oakland. That's what I'm thinking.
By the way, your newsletter is awesome. Do we call it a newsletter, or am I being too old school?
Yeah, no, it's still a newsletter. Yeah.
Okay, the newsletters, I like it. Folks, I get it to my email. I'm assuming I signed up at MLB.com, right, to get it?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fantastic. Like, it's awesome because you have a main article and then you have all this other stuff, information. Hell, there's trivia in there too. Tell people about your newsletter because it's a great way to keep updated on everything going on with the team.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the kind words. Yeah, I've gotten a lot of good feedback on it from fans, and it's been great. Get emails from fans every week about how much they appreciate it, and it's just kind of trying to bring a different angle. Kind of a more fun spin on things. I mean, I still there's like you said, there's a main article every week that's a little bit more what's going on the field or what's going on with the player. But I do also kind of like to go behind the scenes. I do a lot of walk up song stuff or just players off the field interest stuff and. It'll still be going on throughout the off season. I'll have one every week coming out. So those who already subscribe at MLB.com or athletics.com or whenever I tweet out the link, if you just click on it and go to the bottom, you can just subscribe to it. And it's a fun thing I like to do. To bring a little bit extra to the fans. And like I said, the reviews have been positive. So we'll keep doing it. As long as we can.
All right, that's my way to softball into this question. All right, Cody, I want you a part of this too. Ramon Laureano, this was a really bad year. You test positive for PEDs. You're suspended for the first part of the season. This is your opportunity to prove to people that, because he had anabolic steroids in his system. So, it is what it is. And this was your time to come out and prove that your game isn't about steroids. Health not good, never got consistent. He had a really bad year in a year that meant a lot. So I want to ask both of you, we'll start with you, Martine. Are you buying stock in the future that is Ramon Laureano?
Well, based on the year that he had, I'd be very hesitant, obviously. I think even before the suspension, injuries were always kind of a concern, even when he was having his best years. It seems like it was tough for him to stay healthy. And this year, just kind of with the suspension and coming back and dealing with different injuries throughout the year, he never got it going. There was never a point in the season where he looked like, the Ramon Laureano of old. So, he's in a situation where going into next year, he has to prove himself to the A's. He has to prove himself to the public that, he's a better player than what he was. And obviously with the suspension thing, looming over him, I think that's something that mentally definitely affected him. He talked to us about it kind of the final series of the year about how it was tough for him to deal with that when he first came back. And I think he let it get to him at the plate, on the field as well. I think he told us that he wants to be a center fielder. And when, having to move to right for Pache, that, wasn't something that he really enjoyed either. He understood it, but he prides himself on being a great center fielder as well. So the stock is very low right now. So, going next year, if you're looking at players who have something to prove, he's got a ton to prove because he had such a bad year. And I do, he did mention things that he wants to work on getting, his body ready for a 162 game a year. He feels like he hasn't been doing the right strength training to prepare himself for a full 162 game season. And he's frustrated by that. He wants to play, as close to 162 games as possible, but he's got a lot that he's going to have to prove to a lot of people next year for sure.
Cody?
With Martine, stock's low, but I feel like
Are you buying?
No.
Sometimes it's good to buy low because it could be high, baby.
I'm going to say no for now because I feel like if he could become the A's Kevin Kiermaier.
Kevin Kiermaier?
Well, I'm saying he's
glove, no hit.
That's what he was last year, but he hits more home runs, so he has more power. So if he can become a better above average power hitter at center field or right field, wherever he ends up playing, I think his value goes back up. And better question is he even on the team next year? Because how many teams wanted him last offseason? This year, Boston needs an outfielder. There's so many teams that can use an outfielder. The Brewers can use an outfielder. So is he here? Who knows? But if he's here, he needs to rebuild his stock for me.
All right, give me your 4 winners in this next round.
Definitely Astros. I think they're my pick to win it all, honestly. Man, the Padres had a good showing against the Mets, but I'm still going to go Dodgers. I think they just have that. I don't know. They have that dominance over them that's just kind of hard to shake.
There's no question about that.
yeah, it's kind of hard to look past that one. I go Braves, and you know what? Man, it's a tough one.
Do it. Do it. Do it. I know you want to do it.
Man, Cleveland's fun. They're a fun team.
Yeah, attaboy.
You know what? I'll go Cleveland. Cleveland's going to upset. They're going to upset New York.
Beautiful.
I'll go with them.
Great stuff. We'll have you on again soon, and keep doing what you're doing because you're doing a bang-up job.
All right, Tony. Thanks. Anytime, man.
Thanks, buddy. Martin Gallegos. There you got. He got it in there. People are jumping on the Guardians bandwagon right now. Look out. Guardians.
Are you gonna give yours? I'll give you mine.
I already told you. I have a pool going, and I think I have the Phillies going out though.
Well, picking against your team, huh?
Or
Hey, Atlanta's pretty good. Who are you, Bruce Bochy right now?
Kaner and I'm gonna go. I have the Astros actually winning it all.
Wow, way to go, chalk.
Wow, you're calling that? That's it's for friendly purposes. Why I'm picking who's winning because I want to win this thing. Eric, but I'm the only one in this entire group. People in this pool, I'm the only one that picked the Astros. So I'm not going chalk.
No.
How am I going chalk? They're not the favorites.
I don't know. You said
Dodgers are the favorites. Yankees, and Dodgers are more favored to win the World Series than the Astros. So technically, I'm not going chalk, but I will go. I'm going Dodgers until the Padres can step. The Padres to me until they can step it up and love me some Bo Mel, but you got to prove you can knock the bully in the mouth. If not, they can say all they want. They get into Dodger Stadium and they've crumbled. I'm going to go Dodgers. I'm going to go Guardians, Astros, and I'm going to just add some flair to it. I will go the Fighting Phils.
Oh, wow.
My Phillies. My two teams, I picked them a long time ago. I picked Guardians and Phillies to be my team.
Well, obviously I'm
upset city, baby.
I'm going to go Astros. I'll go Guardians as well. I liked what they're pitching and offense. The Yankees rely on the home run too much, and the Guardians have a great staff and bullpen. In the NL, I'll go Braves, and I'll do it. I'll take Bo Mel and the Padres.
At some point, the Dodgers got to get knocked off. Well, they've only won. That's the thing, too. It's about, when you look at the Rays and you look at the Dodgers, the only time they've had the great success was 2020. And everybody wants to throw that year out, even though I don't, but everybody wants to throw that year out.
Tom Hamilton even said that year doesn't count.
I mean, if you think about it, just from the perspective of the Rays, how much better did the Rays stuff play? Not playing a full season, not grinding the relievers to the very end, not playing in front of anybody till you get to the World Series. Not saying the fan thing really matters, but the way the Rays like to utilize their pitching staff, far different when you miss 102 games. Remember, they played 60, so they didn't have to play 102 games that way. They got to play their way for 60 games.
Yeah, then they reworked their team member. They traded Blake Snell the next year too, who they pulled early in the World Series game. I mean, they've been successful since, but not like they were that year.
They've been successful. Yeah. I'm not taking their success away. I'm just saying, getting to the World Series, being like, bam, they're the team it's them and the Dodgers. But the Dodgers haven't been either.
Yeah, no.
The Dodgers haven't, the one thing full seasons and full playoffs do is they expose you.
Yeah, and then the Dodgers starting pitching and, Walker Buehler. I did see who's thrown at the first pitches for the first two games at Dodger Stadium. Steve Sachs and Eric Karros game one, and somehow
Steve Sachs and Eric Karros. Why Steve Sachs? I mean,
no idea. Apparently, game two, Walker Buehler. He's had Tommy John. How's he thrown at the first pitch? He's throwing left-handed.
Lefty.
He's throwing it left-handed.
All right.
Before we go, we have to mention we're sending our positive thoughts to our good friend Sarah Langs, who announced late last week that she has ALS. I've never known anyone that had ALS, so I don't know a lot about the battle. I know Boog Shambi is at the forefront for it. And now that we know that Sarah is battling this,
Stephen Piscotty and his
family. Oh yeah, Piscotty and his mother. We just want to send our thoughts to Sarah, who's been tremendous to this program. She's helped me a lot with learning the research side of doing it, and I've gotten a lot better at it. I mean, she's I don't know how to put it. She's the best when it comes to a lot of things, but getting to be able to call her a friend over the last few years and coming to her for information, we wish you the best.
There's no question. You know, when I think of Sarah and I think of just what a wonderful person she is, and that we've gotten to know her, we can sit here and we can talk about Sarah professionally. And, you know, I've said for a long time, oh, she's the best follower. She's the best follow on Twitter because of the research she does is second to none. And there's a reason why she has her job at MLB.com. And there's a reason why MLB Network brings her on, is because she's as good as it gets at what she does. But, you know, as a person, getting to know Sarah and how everybody feels about Sarah, you're loved. And no matter what, we will always be here for you in any way we can here at A's Cast. What you've meant to us personally, what you've meant to us professionally. We'll be with you through the fight, through thick and thin. And we just want to let you know that we love you, and we're going to be thinking about you and pulling for you every single day. And there's going to be a lot more interviews with you on this program, and the whole baseball world will be behind you. And that just says a lot about your character and who you are. And we love you.
Well said. And she's still tweeting stuff out too at S.Langs on sports. So if you need any research, any stats, she's still putting everything out there. She's operating 100%. Nothing. This isn't changing her life, which is awesome. So keep checking her out, her stats, and following along on Twitter, because it's great, because you'll learn more from her than you ever will from us when it comes to stats.
Oh, fact. Hashtag fact. All right, that's our first off-season show of the year. See how easy that is?
It's weird doing 3 hours. We haven't done 3 hours in forever.
Oh, it's so nice. We don't have to throw to a pregame show. I don't have to walk upstairs.
We don't have to disassemble the set. It just stays now.
Just stays here. We can fix. Rally Monkey can move, and then we got to put up the snow globe. We forgot to have the snow globe out for our friend. We do this for our friends from our. You see the roof moves.
You can tell how old it is. It still says Safeco.
Yeah, but this is for everybody in our division, our fellow guys in the division. But we got their whole offseason to break it down. And there's not the pressure of tonight's game and A's game. We can talk about anything we want. We're going to talk a lot of A's, but we can talk about anything we want. We can talk baseball. And right now we'll get you through the postseason. And then the offseason, we delve into a lot of different things and a lot of different topics, as we'll have a lot of fun and we'll educate you and we'll keep you rolling through baseball, because everybody's gone now in the Bay Area. It's gone. Baseball's gone to them.
Basketball starts next week.
It's Niners. Then it's going to be Warriors. Baseball to them, they won't even talk World Series. You want baseball, this is where you come. Whether it's, we're here, baseball fans. I mean, you may see all A's, but we don't do all A's. We talked majority today. We talked Major League Baseball. We keep baseball alive for the entire year. We're really a unique show. We're really the only ones doing it in baseball.
One thing we didn't get into today, and has nothing to do with baseball, maybe we'll save it for next time. The Draymond Green punch thrown and heard.
It's not Draymond's fault. It's not Draymond's fault.
Apparently, real quick, he tried to say that he didn't like how the video was framed, showing what he did.
What? Destroying your teammate's face?
You punched the guy in practice. How do you want to, you can't manipulate the video.
You got in your teammate's face. He's like, get off of me, which happens. But to literally come in with the right hand, smoke him into the wall, and then press your body and press him in.
Not good. Not good.
Draymond Green. I'll give you a little Draymond Green here on the way out. Draymond Green, when he first came in the league, I was doing a afternoon show on 95.7 The Game with Rick Bucher. Rick Bucher was doing the sidelines for the games for NBC Sports California. I mean, NBC Sports Bay Area. So we had to do our show from the arena. And Raymond Ritter brought up second-round pick out of Michigan State, Draymond Green. Draymond Green is what happens with certain athletes who get fame and fortune. They change. And they dramatically change. Draymond Green came up to us. Remember, he'd be the first one to come out and shoot. It was him and somebody else. They would shoot. And Raymond Ritter brought Draymond up to us, shook our hands. It was a very polite, like any of us would be, coming out of college. This is his first professional gig, just like whatever. Yes, sir. No, sir. Thank you so much for having me. Very gracious, very honest, he was phenomenal. You're like, this kid, you could tell he was a kid that was prepared to be in the NBA, coming from a program like Michigan State that Tom Izzo, you know, all of us who play college sports, you get raised in your program, right? You get raised the right way, how to deal with people, how to be respectful, how to be able to go. That's what college sports helps produce, helps you go out into the working world and be a part of society. You're that guy. That's who Draymond Green was when he came out of Michigan State. Yes, sir. No, sir. How are you? Thank you very much for having me on. I really appreciate it. Those might be a little bit more my words, but he was a very polite young man. To what he is now, is if you listen to his podcast, if you listen to who he is, Steph Curry was like that. Steph Curry's still that guy. Steph Curry has always been a very respectful, good dude. Always. Does he have the fame? Does he have the fortune? No doubt. And yeah, there's going to be some more ego that gets involved with that. But Steph Curry hasn't changed. Draymond Green is one of those athletes that has dramatically changed. He has gone from coming into the league, being respectful, being a good person, being a good teammate, to now it's him against the world. And he's been like that for a while now. And part of the problem is the Golden State Warriors have fed it. They've allowed it. And the beast grows. And you love his competitive fire. I mean, you have a lot of people, you know, we have a very suck-up media here in the Bay Area, especially to the Warriors because they're winning. And people, I don't care as long as Draymond's winning, as long as Draymond's doing that. Well, you start to see over time, yeah, the winning's going to be there. But now we're at a point, if you saw Steve Kerr's last press conference, there's a problem. And it's been brewing for a long time. At some point, the winning doesn't mask all. One of his teammates you're talking about guys who are lesser teammates, or I should say lesser pieces of the puzzle, who are now saying, oh yeah, this isn't good. And watching The Last Dance, and remind me, I got to do The Last Dance about comparing it to now in baseball. But when Jordan hit Steve Kerr, when Jordan first came back, and Jordan talked about feeling like he was lesser than anything, had to call Steve Kerr hat in hand. And I mean, it was bad. And that's Michael Jordan. Draymond Green's a great player. Draymond Green's going to end up in the NBA Hall of Fame because of the championships, and he's a great player. But you've seen this coming years. I mean, you could say the Warriors, one of the reasons why they didn't win the one series against Cleveland, the altercation that ended up getting Draymond suspended. There's been a little bit of this out of control, and that's only what we see. We only see certain aspects of it. So can you imagine living it every day, being on the plane, being on the buses, the hotels, and you're with this person who's changing? I mean, there's no question, if you looked at the timeline of Draymond Green's career as a man, how he has changed, good, bad, ugly, there's been dramatic change. Dramatic change to where the physical violence of what you see. You know, the Warriors can say, well, we have to research, how does this get out? You know, and I kept hearing Steve Kerr, you know, this stuff shouldn't get out. Okay, yeah. Do teammates fight? Yeah, okay. But the complete disregard for your own teammate and literally crushing your teammate's face, and the way you notice the way he, after he smokes him, make sure he gets him into the wall.
Yeah.
The aggression, the anger, this is practice. And yes, teammates fight, no question. All teammates fight. But clearly now that this has happened, do we now understand what's been brewing for years? Because Steve Kerr, Bob Myers just can't walk it back like they have in the past. Draymond being Draymond. Draymond's competitive. Am I a Warriors fan? Yes. But I'm talking as someone who has been doing this a long time, has been in business. There are certain actions. At some point, there is a breaking point or a tipping point. Draymond Green's hit that tipping point to where no matter what he's done for the organization, no matter how many games they've won, no matter how many, he's crossed the line. That now there is an honest answer or an honest question that needs to have an honest answer. Has this gone too far? That literally Lacob, the front office, Steve Kerr, the staff, and his teammates are all having to ask that question. Has it gone too far? Are we past the point of, hey, I'm sorry, bro hug, let's move on and go win a championship, to a point of this guy's detrimental to just how we do business? But you know what? Are you shocked?
We saw this with Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant left, apparently because of Durant. Well, Durant wasn't part of it, apparently.
Are you shocked? At some point, there's pros and cons to everybody, right? There's some serious pros to Cody, and there's some cons. But right now, his pros outweigh the cons. So he has a job here. There's pros and cons with me, right? But at some point, once your cons start to outweigh the pros, and, you know, obviously the NBA, like Major League Baseball, your problems become guaranteed money. You just get, but there, once in the building, they start thinking, are we better with you outside the building than in the building? Now, you've harvested this. You've allowed it to happen. We just get to see it because someone leaked it. How long has this been going on? Well, we've known for a while. We've known for a while this Draymond against the world has been going on. And this ego where he basically can say whatever he wants, do whatever he wants, this has been going on. So what's been ultimately happening behind it? It's been going. This safe to say this isn't a one-off.
No, wasn't there? Didn't he have an issue with Steve Kerr before too? There's been a couple different.
There's been plenty. There's been issues. It's now finally out there. They seem done with it. Draymond now. Hey, how do we get past this? Well, my actions will get us past this. Well, Draymond, how many do you get? How many do you get before you go, you know what? We can't do this anymore. I mean, that's where you're at. Now, the Warriors, like I said, when I first met Draymond Green and we did multiple interviews with him, he was a nice, respectful guy. Young man. That guy doesn't exist anymore. You cannot say that fame, fortune have not changed Draymond Green. Fame, fortune change everybody. But Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, they're still good dudes. They're still, I mean, there's an element. I'm not around it every day, but there is an element that has changed about his life, who he is and his life. Draymond's a different guy. Certain guys are like that. You get the money, you get the fame, and you can be the biggest FU guy in the world. Other guys get the money, get the fame. They have the ego, whatever, but they still stay, you know, their core values still are who they are. I don't know about Draymond. But if there is the, forget the smoke. If there's the fire with the little we know, my God, I can't imagine what it's like. So the whole joke we've always had, it's not Draymond's fault. It's not Draymond's fault. Remember, we'd always joke about that. It's not Draymond's fault, and I've actually done that with people, and people laugh. No one's doing that anymore. No one's laughing anymore. So this will be an interesting time. This will truly be, especially where he is at his career, and at some point, once your skills everybody's skills start to diminish a little bit, and if you're still, I don't even know what happens with this year, but at some point, do your cons outweigh the pros, and that's when you got some real. He's got soul searching to do now, and you just wonder, what's life like? What's life like for him off the court? God, you're that quick to just destroy your own teammate. And then the funny thing is, there are some people in the Bay Area media who obviously, it just shows not all teammates are best buddies. Look at the A's; they fought back in the day. Yeah, they did, but they all, to a man, still even talk about, oh yeah, we could fight, but man, I don't know. Seems a little different.
Those wasn't in the public eye either. There wasn't a leaked video of the fight in, was it 74 between, who was it?
Yeah, but they were arm in arm after. I don't get the sense of arm in arm after. Like you're like what you're getting from Steve Kerr is not a boy. What Steve Kerr did, the one I watched on YouTube. I didn't watch it live. The press conference I saw from Steve Kerr was not a boys will be boys. The stuff with the A's was boys will be boys, brothers fighting each other. This did not. When Steve Kerr's press conference was not this is brothers fighting each other. Right? Did you watch it?
No, I heard it. I didn't watch it.
Okay, I watched it. I did not get the sense that this was boys will be boys. All right, we done?
Yeah. By the way, a couple people asked. The reason why I have a D-Generation X shirt on, it's the 25th anniversary of DX. Maybe the greatest wrestling faction of all time with Triple H, Shawn Michaels. Then evolved to more people. X-Pac, the late Chyna. Well, Chyna was always part of it.
Chyna's no longer with us?
Yeah, she passed a few years ago.
Did not know
that. Billy Gunn, now a different wrestling promotion called Daddy Ass, which is kind of funny, and then Road Dogg. So DX has been a big part of wrestling for the last 25 years, so that's why I wore the shirt today. They're honoring him on Raw tonight.
I just want to say, I think this hat-shirt combination's slick.
Matches.
Right? I think it's slick. This is one of our St. Patrick's Day's hat. This is the A's production shirt for this year. I think my outfit today was I think I came out styling first show.
I agree.
I look like I could go tee it up and play 18.
Well, that's also for sure.
Let's rock. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. We want to thank the great Tom Hamilton, the voice of the Guardians, Roxy Bernstein, Martin Gallegos. We'll be back 1 o'clock on Wednesday. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching A's Cast Live.
The Coliseum has gone by many names, but none better than the Last Dive Bar. Hi, everyone. Ken Korak.